again at 50, so we're just scalping out like 30, 35 cents right now on TSLA and hoping for a higher take right now. All right, good show. We're going to go back over to the side desks in just a couple seconds. Thank you, Fabian, Ramin, everybody today, Andre, Sharif, maybe she's not here yet, and obviously to Adara as well. Thanks, Neil. Thanks to everybody on the chat.
Shout out to Randy for giving us the extra
Yes, shout out to
protein
Randy.
there.
Yeah, I still actually have half the banana in here as well. We'll have some potassium, then we'll get going. There goes Tesla. Finally, we're in the money, just as we leave you guys on Tesla, trying to break above 50s, hitting 60s right there for a couple seconds. The P&L went green there on Tesla, but we got to get going a little bit more to the upside. It's your midday show, and it's happening. There goes Tesla, finally, right now, back to the upside. So you know what I'm going to do? Get some out and throw it back over to these guys right now. Ciao, everybody. Bye-bye, Tesla, hopefully.
Wait.
He did it again.
Did he do it again?
He did it again. No, he didn't do it again yesterday, but it's okay. Boom! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That's your boy, Joey Options. I'm Sharif. If you don't know who this is, well, then you're probably amongst most people because they don't know. Shout out to Victor Yokeresh, Arsenal's number 14. Striker, shout out to Hangry Wife, shout out to Green Saber, Oxlong's in the house, so super, no, yes. Pitchbull, Commodity King, Fly Guy. We got Lopa Fett and Muscan, shout out to Ghani and Fat Figa, hey. Sal G, Dino Vincentore, I think. Andre, not our Andre, his name is Assassino. Neil, Robert, Lewis, we got Plips. Terrible trades, that's jokes, but boom, right back at you, buddy. Bastone, Random Oddities, we got Midwest Cannabis, he be smoking that stuff. We got Buffalo Soldier, Joey, Common Sense, Milan, what's going on, Adam DeLuce, Habibi, shout out to Ahmed. We got Robert Lewis and John DiPietro, Old Wise Trader, I aspire. Marco Hernandez, The Real Dangerous, Florida Man, shout out to the Jack of All Kings and Cubes Mo, sold the low. I like that, Real Dangerous, the Jack of All Kings again, and thanks, Casual. Good morning to everybody, Joey, and good morning to you. Just before we pass it on to you, SWMR is exactly who we thought it was. A rocket ship up another 70% today. Flat top breaking through 45. There was a whole bunch of resistance at that $45 level. That was all until, yes, of course, at 10:45 candle on the 5. And it moved $10 quick as you like, from 45 up into 55. In fact, that is the high of the day right now. Keep your eye on that $50 level. There could be support there. That's a prior area low, Joey. SWMR, that IPO from yesterday called SWMR.
SWMR. I like a good shawarma, that's for sure. What's up, Casey Armstrong ahead by a century. You singing some hit there? R.I.P. Mr. Downey. That's the head singer of Tragically Hip.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I feel like do you know who I'm
I know the
about?
Tragically Hip. I don't know each individual member's name.
I think probably the best Canadian band of all time.
Sir.
All right, guys, let's get right into things. Yesterday we had that nice trade on Bitcoin. Looking for the continuation here today. Didn't get it. Continuous selling. I'm glad we didn't try to pick a bottom on that one. So that's it for essentially trades, really. It's that done. It's over, just like that. But we're starting to print something on the 5-minute. Maybe we can find a bottom and a potential bounce to the volume-weighted average price. Let's go over what we were looking at here today. We were also talking about the $42 zone here on IBIT, the supply zone, and there's a lot of other names. SoFi, I had a little bit of a hunch that we'd get somewhat of a rebound here, but what we're seeing at that $20 mark, substantial size. And I'm gonna put my money where the options activity is essentially telling us to, and that's we are not going to be going north of $20. And if you happen to, you can see a massive squeeze, and that's why I haven't seen a gamma squeeze in quite some time. Enough is enough. Let's go over some of the names here. IBIT, nice 5-minute hammer candle, potentially print here, Los Polios, and to and my boy Gorev. But other than that, guys, SPYQs, you know we have the overall market in the corner of our eye. USO, not too bad of a look, continuous uptrend here. Now you're getting that pullback towards the volume-weighted average price. And SWMR on my radar. Be careful of this one, though, because it's moving very, very quick. You have to risk about $1, multiple dollars in order to really prove yourself wrong. But nice move. Now up to $54.96, probably going to tap into $56 once again. It did halt after this strong breakup, and look at the volume following it as well too, guys. IBIT and SoFi. Let's see if we can get up into that level. And what we're going to do before we send it over to Sharif is take a look at the options chain and see if that size has grown at that $20 mark after the open, or you have individuals taking a little bit of profit. 192,000. I think we're sitting around 193 or something along those lines, but that's a lot of OI, positive gamma at that $20 mark. And then even if you go over to the puts, what we do have slightly, all these are ITM contracts. That's why our delta is going to be a little bit higher. But other than that, guys, not too bad of a look there on SoFi. A small recovery from yesterday's dump.
There goes SWMR from, here we go, we're in at 55. Let's let it run. Let's see, we're gonna wait for now for 57, a high of the day, 50. There it goes, Joey, into 58, 59. We're doing it freaking live. Let's see where this one wants to go. Flat top break, here comes 60. We're wetting the beak here again. Damn. Boom, into 59.73. Get it, Katina, man. Here, we're gonna halt here, guys. 59.73, halt parameter. We need another 6 or 7 seconds at this level. The spread is tight here, man. 78 on the ask, 73 on the bid. We're talking 5 pennies on a small name. Bang. That's a good one right there, Joey. We took 55. I had a bias that this one was going to clear 55, and now we're up into $60. Casey, where you at, Casey? I'm joining you on this one. Casey had a monster winner on this one yesterday. I was telling Brendo in the morning, I think I might get into the, well, I don't know about now, but I certainly was thinking about swing trading this thing because it's just so in vogue with drones and everything that's happening on at the moment with that whole thing, right? It's kind of the future of warfare. So we're keeping an eye on this one. Pumped. Halt level, guys, 59.73. Tap showing exactly that. 59.73 hasn't changed. Halt time, 11:06:31. The earliest will be open on this monster is 11:11:31. So keep your eye out on that one. Mark your clocks. Do whatever you need to do. Yeah, I know Casey already sold yesterday. She's great, bro. She is a hell of a trader. All right, I want to point out one thing here. I didn't go to the gym during the morning show, and this is what I was doing. We were vibe coding a GUI. Now, we're not in command prompt anymore. Now we've got an actual window. So remember I was complaining yesterday about my risk calculator being really good, but also holding me back speed-wise, especially with these small cap gappers. So we're doing it live. I've got API access now. I couldn't be more pumped. And we've basically got the window done. Now I just got to connect it to the API. So we're going to be able to do this, guys, for you. And then, maybe we'll make this available for those that are on P-Pro or with real trading, I should say, and that are using P8. But I'm super pumped. So it uses the same parameters as my actual risk calculator over here. This one runs in command prompt. So as we talked about, you enter your default risk. Say I want to take $100 risk per trade. You enter the price. Let's say, for example, I want to get in 59.73 here on SWMR. I know the low of this candle is 54.37. So let's just say I want to give it to 54.49. And then it'll tell me, all right, Sharif, so based upon the fact that you want to risk $100 and where your stop placement goes, because that has to be strategic, super important, right? Can't put your stop willy-nilly. You're going to take 19 shares on this bad boy. Your position size is this much. Your risk per trade is this much. Here's your 1R, here's your 2R, and here's your 3R. All that is going to be displayed over here. I'm super pumped about that. So we're going to do it live, and hopefully it'll help the trading game. So we're keeping an eye on that. All right, so as we're waiting for SWMR to open up, let's look at what we're looking at here on the side chart. MVST, I've got this one in view. It looks like it's double topping here at 188. We'll see if it loses that 10 EMA. So that's the first one, ARTL. It looked good, it then didn't. Had a big move in the aftermarket, continued this morning at around 740, popped up. We did breach the pre-market high, but on a wick basis, not closing basis. So the official high of the day is 834. We're trading below the volume weighted average price right now, just at about $7. So we're gonna keep an eye on ARTL. TMDE, Also kind of breaking down. This had a monster move down yesterday, so it looks like it was recovering a little bit. It did find initial support, I want to say, at about 10 o'clock at the volume-weighted average price. That gave you a nice 15-penny move, but it has since lost VWAP, and so it may lose its spot on the side chart. There's not a whole bunch going right now, I got to tell you, in the world of small cap gappers, at least for me. Of course, SWMR, you know, not strictly a small cap gapper. We've got UVIX on here as well. This is obviously the VIX ETF, so we're going to be keeping an eye on that one, trading really nicely here, coming into the 20 EMA. I'm looking for a possible long on this above prior bar high, maybe above 820 or so. OVID, also another one that's straddling the volume-weighted average price from the south side, not the north side, so not looking good here either. DVLT, Neil called this one out. He's absolutely right. Had a monster move yesterday, and then another monster move in the aftermarket right around 5:15. It got all sorts of volume. In fact, the volume in the aftermarket exceeded the highs of the actual regular trading hours. We were doing a bunch, 2.5 million shares per 5-minute candle at the highs. This morning, early on, we end up taking out yesterday's aftermarket highs, with the official high of the day being 99. We have a bit of double top there at 10.05 and 10.10. So it's obviously struggling with that $1 area. Not a surprise for me at all. But I also am very alive to these higher lows. So maybe we'll execute something here on DVLT. I think we should be close to opening up here on SWMR. And there we are. We're opened up 59. Let me just make sure I canceled all my stops on that. $60 high, guys. Watch out here. Let's see if it initially rejects that $60. It does. Coming down into 59.50s. That 60 seller better run for his life here, man. You're going to get run over, bro. Maybe not now, but probably 5 minutes from now. Who knows? Joey, this thing is rocketing up. 60 showing up again. Big size here at 60. Dropping down into 57. Gets bought right back up, though, dude. So all sorts of volatility here on SWMR.
Absolutely, Gorb. Yeah, man, waiting for this pullback to come into play. 40.33. I just had that hunch, right? We have this trend line drawn. I had this from before, and then we essentially run into the front side of it, and now we're starting to pull back a little bit here, guys. So patience is really key, and I think it's been really important for my style, considering I was telling you guys last week what I had in the month of February. I had more red days in the span of like a week and a half than I had the whole month of February. So I have to be really patient and precise, because not only is that you don't want to dig yourself too big of a hole, you don't want to waste all your mental capital, and then you become a little bit hesitant. So that pullback, I really like that signal. Let's see if it can come into play. There's so many things aligning right now that can tell us, say, hey, take this. So what we will do is wait for price action to slowly turn around. The defense wasn't really met, and that's kind of what I want to see. Nice trade on SWMR. That thing skyrocketed up to 60, and you were in at like 55.
55 on the dot.
Yeah, that's mad. That's madness, bro.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, but yeah,
taken more size.
Pardon me?
Wish I'd have taken more size.
That's how
shoulda,
it goes,
coulda,
man.
woulda, bro.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, my brother. I mean, if only I picked the right lottery numbers last week and won the 20 million, then you know what I
still have that lottery ticket you got me for Christmas in my locker.
Oh, you didn't scratch it?
No, not yet.
Why?
I like to hold off. You know,
what is
I like to hold off.
You know what? I watched a YouTube video on that. For some reason, people do that, because I'll hold a lottery ticket longer than like what I need. Like I'll keep it in my pouch for like a couple of weeks, right?
I got a 649.
But that's like a lot of people do that.
I don't know why.
I don't know why, right? Because you
because
do that?
I haven't.
Does that too,
you
right?
haven't dismissed the possibility that you could use. It's still possible, right? I could win.
Over and see what Neil.
For a second. No, I'm not saying that I do that. I literally, and this is, I'm not trying to throw shade, but I have strong feelings about why that's nonsensical. Think of it in the opposite direction, because so if you look at what you're doing by not getting or scratching your lottery ticket, or at least checking to see if it wins, like once you bought it, it's a sunk cost. Like either it won you something or it didn't. Right, so your effort in checking it is basically zero, right? Like it costs you zero effort, and there's potential gigantic upside. Now think of the other end of the spectrum to see where your logic of not checking it is ridiculous. Imagine something that had gigantic downside, right? So gigantic downside, your lottery ticket is gigantic upside. There's gigantic downside, and you mitigating that risk entirely costs you nothing to do it. Would you not take that action?
I would.
Right, you would take that action 100% of the time. If zero downside to mitigating risk, and the tail risk is huge, you do it.
Point.
So on the other side, not checking and you've already purchased a ticket. It's like, what's the point? Just do it. If you pick one off the ground, you're gonna check it as well. Think of that in terms of risk. And I'm gonna make it back to trading for a second. That's the kind of thing that you've got to think about sometimes when you're trading. Don't just think about like the trade and the risk to reward a lot of times. Also look at the grand picture of all of your strategies. And if there are any strategies out there that have huge ultimate downside risk, like a stock that has like lower liquidity, could halt on you, your stops might get run and you don't get a fill. Those types of tail risk, and then ask yourself what small actions you can take to reduce or eliminate those risks, because those are the types of things that are career enders as a trader. They blow up accounts, but you can usually find something in there to mitigate those massive downsides like that tail risk. It will mean that you will miss out on some upside, but it's pretty important. I just thought, usually I'd do a rant like that for the lesson of the day, but you just brought it up, and I had some feelings about it.
So are we not getting the lesson of the day today? We need both, Joey.
All right, we're in some IBIT here. This is what we were talking about here, Gore, waiting for that pullback, a couple more indecision prints. Now my risk is so tight, right? Like this can be a really quick trade. I'm in at the break of this low. So that's going to be not very much. What do I got here? And it's really tight. Bang, just like that. You get a nice little pop-up. We're in 32s, and that's what I was looking for. So patience, waiting for that pullback. The signal is there. I think it's just going to take a little bit of time for it to get rocking and rolling, and then maybe we can add some more. I told you I'm willing to put a bid on here.
Oh, boy.
But I also want to wait. What happened? Oh, yeah, I know. This thing's gone up to 62.50. I want to wait for FOMC.
64.
Right? Yeah, 64 bucks. It's crazy, man. But yeah, that's what I got going on. Oh, but just in case you guys were curious, typically when I buy a scratch ticket, I know everyone was wondering this, I don't play the game. I just scratch the barcode, scan it to see if we're going to win.
Yeah, he kills the excitement, dude. Come on, man.
There's no point, man. We need that shmoola. But aside from that, guys, 40.35, waited for the pullback. We have everything aligning. What's up, Ram? She's in the building. Ramin's in the building.
Ram.
65 bucks there on SWMR, and then also largest volume print here on the day with an indecision candle, and then also you get that nice strong move. The volume slowly cools off on this pullback. Let's see if we can get them to step back in, and maybe we get a pullback towards VWAP. That's going to be the ultimate goal here, considering this thing has been on a downslide for the whole intraday session. So that's what we got going on. SoFi, nice recovery. And the overall market just bouncing off of VWAP once again. But let's see if we can get that sustained bounce in IBIT.
All right, man. Continuing to watch SWMR. I tried to warn the short seller at 60. I mean, he didn't listen. And then he started getting aggressive, posting positions at 59. That ended up being a resistance level until it wasn't. Got up to 60. Then all hell broke loose. 65.04. That's the high of the day. I'll tell you guys what limit up is in a minute. It's not showing up on my screen right now, so that means we're a little bit away from it. But I did flash. It did flash. Sorry, 66 or 67. But that could have evolved since that time. But this thing is on a rampage. It's up another 100% today. This is going to be, I feel, one of the better swing trades that we could have had, just based upon the current geopolitical situation and what this company is doing. And the price action reflects that, right? You can have everything great in theory. It can set up, but now the proof is in the freaking pudding, because this thing is really, really rocketing up. An IPO from yesterday, 67.48 limit up on SWMR, 67.48 limit up. I also want to bring your attention to MVST. So much slower of a mover. It's not going to get you the the adrenaline rush of an SWMR, but hey, we don't always need to get that kind of thing, Joey. But in any event, I like this looking bull flag here. Great structure hold. Take a look at that topping tail candle at 940, the high of which was 177. You get a double bottom here. You guessed it, 177.5. Actually breaching 178. A clean hold and a reclaim of the 10 EMA on the 5, and a move here to attempt to take out that 188 level. Look, the fact of the matter is, there's been very little in the way of closing prints above 185. So the fact that 188 is the high of the day, I don't think tells the full picture. There's certainly selling coming in at 185. But if we get a move here and start closing above that, there's a good likelihood we are going to hit 2. So MVST could be in play for you here. That's one And then, guys, I really hate to be a Debbie Downer, but it's not looking good in terms of small cap gappers. But UVIX, oh, baby, look at the hold of the 20. Why is it so perfect? These ones trade great sometimes, man, off these levels. UVIX, a beauty. But I would say a great scalp trade. Be on the lookout for the lower highs. I don't think we've decidedly cleared that lower high, lower high, lower high look, right? So maybe a move into 830, an attempt possibly of 835 on UVIX puts that confirmation on your side, but for the moment, I'm steering clear. Guys, I don't have any good small cap gappers. I'm gonna need you guys to help me out with ones that are moving. And I've changed my scanner parameters now. I'm scanning down to like 25 or 35 pennies. So I'm alive to the ones that are trading south of $1. But today it's a light bunch, man. Let me just double check. Yeah, I put 25 pennies, but I did put 1 million shares. So I don't really want to see ones that are trading less than 1 million shares, especially if I'm going to go down in price like that, right? Because we don't want to be trading hundreds of thousands of shares on a 25, 35 penny name. That's not my jam. So yeah, I need you guys' help today. Let's see what people are saying. Escape Planet. All right, let's take a look at that. I appreciate you guys coming in fast and furious with the tickers there. We're going to look at them pretty quickly. Let's look at KOS. Good look. This is a good one. So KOS, good chart there. How much? We got 13.1 million shares traded on the day. So this automatically earns its way onto the side chart. Who are we going to take off here? We're going to take off, I want to say TMDE. Yeah, we're going to take off TMDE. We're going to put KOS. Good, thank you. I'm going to look at that next one in a second. Let's see what else people are saying. TPET, says Scott H. Let's have a look at TPET. Neil was looking at that all day. This one's breaking down, Scott, and it's barely green. 105, $1.05 is the break-even point on this one. Nor do I like the lower high trend, nor do I like the fact that it's below the volume-weighted average price. We did breach pre-market high in regular trading hours, so that's kind of good news. But TPET, I'm going to pass on this one. OVID says Video Auser. Let's take a look at OVID. Okay, so it's putting in a lower high trend. In addition, it's straddling VWAP as resistance. I get that it's it's putting in higher lows over here, which is good news. I need to see two things: above 250 and above this area high here at 2 2/3, because we're going to have sellers that are going to be holding that. And moreover, it's shown its propensity to fail a hold of VWAP once it reclaims it. That puts it under suspicion automatically. OVID is the ticker there. John Del Segno saying RCAT. Let's take a look at RCAT. Not a bad look on the day. RCAT certainly was in play yesterday and was in play the majority of the afternoon, not giving up the move from yesterday, but not as strong. Like, look how directional that was. That was beautiful. Today, it's a little zig, it's a little zag. Looks like there's selling coming in near that pre-market high. I want to say around 17 2/3. I realized I got to 17.50. Not a bad one on RCAT, but not the cleanest. Let's see what else people are talking about. XRX going under, says Hertz Scrambler. XRX. Let's take a look at that one. Ooh, that's no good. This is a multi-day downtrend here ever since it lost at like $1.70 or so. Looks like it was holding that level as support down into $1.40. We go green on the day at $1.45. Nice bounce here off 1 1/3, but not exactly a glowing long. Pop La Cork, AMDL. Let's look at AMDL for Pop La Cork. 1210 resistance, very clear there. Double top, be careful with that. If this fails 185, I'd say that's a manifestation of the double top, and we're either going to 1160, which is the break-even point in the day, or we could be heading to 1150, 1145, which is the pre-market low. This is AMDL, so I'm assuming this is it's an AMD ETF, 2 times long ETF there. Thank you, Pop La Cork. Jamlocky, Vivo, but on low volume. Let's look at VIVO for the Jamlocky. Yeah, losing VWAP, also multiple lower highs there, and you're absolutely right. Volume bars all but non-existent. Just to give you an example, the 1115 candle on the 5 has 2,646 shares. Very low volume, dangerous. So I'll steer clear of that one. So MVST looks like it's going to take out area highs over here. Benton, yes, we're playing sporting, baby, and it's looking real good. I'm very pleased with yesterday's match. I shouldn't say very pleased, but better. better improvement, Benton. MVST is looking good, guys. There is this seller here into 186, 187, Joey, but it does feel like it is putting those higher lows for a possible flat top break on MVST. We're probably going to participate.
All right, Beth, welcome, by the way. And you say you're still in sim and everything, having some good conversation with that individual. I mean, you got to be prepared. This isn't like something that you pick up in the matter of months. Unfortunately, it's years and years and years. It's a long, long process, and you have to be prepared for that. Speaking of, shout out Minnesota trader Immortal. What's up, brother? I know you said you're taking some of those 0 DTEs, and you say you're not familiar. I mean, it's just a different language within the market, and this is what we talk about, right? Like, if you're looking for market, you're talking about Market Atlas and Bookmap and everything along those lines. This is very similar because this is showing you the size through multiple strike prices, right? And we were talking about this. We'll give you a quick rundown. So you're looking for essentially that heat map, and we can classify that, except for you're not going to see the colors. But how we can depict is just by the size of the numbers. And we look for call walls and put walls and everything along those lines. And what we identified here, for an example, on SoFi is at that $20 mark with 192,000 contracts. You may not understand that, but times that number by 100, okay? So for every one contract is equal to 100 shares. So you have 192,000 times 100, whatever that may be. I'm not going to try to do the quick maths in my head, but even though it's probably not that complicated. But aside from what I'm getting at is, it's, in my opinion, I think that the options chain is equally as good. Maybe, I don't know if I'm going to go down that line, but down that road, but I will. I think it can be more accurate because you're seeing the actual size in a longer date, aside from what you're actually looking at on Bookmap. I'm pretty sure it's only that day. So we can see what everyone is doing multiple days from now, right? Like you go through your expiration cycle, we're 2 days away, and we can see where the larger participants are really placing their bets. And we know that the majority of them here believe that SoFi is not going to go north of $20 at 192. It's exactly when you're looking at Bookmap. I'm not familiar with Market Atlas, but when you're looking at Bookmap and you see that thick red line or that thick green line, it's like, hey, those are massive supply zones, and we can identify that just through by looking at numbers, right? Like instead of having that color, it's not exactly the exact same thing. You don't have those dots everywhere. It's a little bit more clean, in my opinion, and you can see supply and demand on both sides of the put, where you would see things a little bit lower, and the same thing with your calls. You would see those thick red lines or those thick green lines on Bookmap. So yeah, let's go. We're gonna have to sit through this one here. I'm definitely not master. But anyways, aside from this, guys, let's see if we can get this ball rolling here. You're not liking how it's following up, Gorb. I think this is going to be more of a slow grind, brother. There's a couple things that are working for us right now, but we're also extremely we're going like big time counter trend here, which can be a little bit more difficult. And with that being said, the buying pressure not really stepping in, that's fine. I have a hunch that we're going to have to experience a couple of pullbacks. You'll be in the money, it'll pull back aggressively, and then you get that slow grind. But what we want to do, if we're going to go through the example here of what we were just talking about for our new friend Beth, who's in the chat, is that here, look at IBIT, and we were talking about this one this morning, is that we have also a supply zone expiring on Friday at this level, which has dropped substantially in my opinion. So maybe things are starting to cool off. There was over 75,000 contracts on this week's expiration cycle at that $42 mark when we were talking about this not too long ago, okay? So we'll keep an eye out on this. That supply zone is now started to cool, but this is how we identify things. And it's not that you want to pick up every single number. I understand the whole and half dollar aspect, and we can translate into our intraday trading, but what we want to do is identify where the stock and where price action is rejecting, and then we can correlate those levels with our options chain. Right now, $43, and it was $45. Okay, so $45 was that mark with 76,700. So if you're going to be looking at this on Bookmap, Beth, is that you would see that thick red line right there, because you're not generating the shares with the options contracts. They're already there, right? So you're extracting them from the market. So 76,000 times 100, substantial amount of size. And to me, that might be a potential ceiling on this week, even though we have sold off aggressively here today.
All right, Adara put in the chat that X is down, and in fact is down. I'm not able to use anything here on X, so be on the lookout there. Net, not reacting to it at the moment. We're talking about Cloudflare. So it's down right now. X is not working at all. Like you can't click on anybody's profiles or anything like that. That's another time. This social media platform, bro, I gotta tell you, it needs a little bit more redundancy because it seems to be down quite a bit. All right, guys, a couple of new ones here. I've got my eye on. I just got into MVST, so let's see if this one can breach prior bar high. We stop out below 180. I put in a couple there that the chat was able to let me know about. KOS. We'll keep an eye out on this one. This one just got into the high of the day of 263. I'm also keeping my eye on NN, guys. 1966 high. This is up about 16%. It doesn't have a lot of volume, but it's got a hell of a chart pattern here and a lot of respect at the 10 EMA. I'd be interested buyer between 1940 to 1950, assuming it does pull back into the 10 EMA on the 5. And then last but not least, I'm keeping my eye here on IBRX. Shout out to Cool Brioche. Looks like this one had a bit of an outsized move yesterday in the the pre-market, popped up aggressively right at 9:30 and then was basically a sell all day. So comes into 877 and trying to hold the $0.50 now. Sorry, let me throw in the ticker over here. IBRX is the ticker. So be on the lookout there. Looks like it's holding structure generally. Look at that 845 candle low. Well, that candle low right there is also the implied balance high at 940. So it holds that structure. What I'd be waiting for, though, is that curling pattern to show you that the buyers are stepping in. We've defended the $0.50, and now we're on our way to take out 860 again. So IBRX in focus. We're going up to Adara for the crypto segment.
Yeah, with regards to X here, guys, it is still down. I'll let you guys know when it's back up. And I think it's important to note that, as Sharif mentions, we've had a lot of outages with these social media platforms lately. And I find because a lot of news is disseminated on X, when X is down, the news tends to slow in large part because people aren't really able to see it quickly. So be aware. While X is down to the degree that it is, might be a little bit slower news period. I'm still going to keep an eye on things. If you guys see tickers that are moving, please let me know. Again, sometimes these are like regional. At least for me currently, it is still down. Let's take a look here at BTC. BTC on its second straight red day. Yesterday, a little bit of a topping tail candle, nothing massive here, but we do, I think early in the morning yesterday, we get to that 76,000 level. Then we give it all back up, and we close here actually near the lows, around 70, just under 74,000. Now today, we, at the low of the day here, below 71,000, currently just above 71, around 71.3. Now, this is going to be significant because we do have the Fed decision coming out at 2 p.m. We know crypto, along with the rest of the market, can move on this, so just be aware. This weakness in BTC, I was seeing attributed at least partially to the hotter than expected PPI prints we got this morning, so take that how you will. Let's take a look at Ethereum as well. ETH, looking identical to Bitcoin in terms of structure. Once again here, though ETH currently low around 2190, just shy of 2200, but ETH actually, unlike Bitcoin, coming into a clear level of prior support or resistance right now, 2200. Let's see if that 2200 level can flip to support. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Back over to Sharif and Joe.
All right, good stuff. Pew, pew, pew. Good stuff over there, man.
It's not good here, bro.
Pardon me?
It's not good here, man.
I know. I was saying pew just due to this IBIT trade. We were waiting for that pullback. We waited for price to turn around and then just some indecision prints on that pullback saying, hey, we're ready to climb a little bit higher. So now 40, 50. Let's see if we can climb right back into VWAP. If this is really weak, we don't love that. We don't love this shelf that it was starting to form. And I mentioned that you're going to be in the money a little bit. It's going to probably be a slow grind, but the primary target is going to be the volume weighted average price. If I can hold this through up into 40, 70s, even if we're fortunate enough to get that right now. But yeah, not too bad of a look here on IBIT. You're still down 5%, which is pretty substantial here. But I mean, not a horrible play. The overall markets are still below the volume weighted average price, and SoFi hasn't been doing much. Aggressive pullback in USO, but you have a $10 pullback in SWMR, Sharif. It was as high as 66 and then climbed back down to 55
level.
Yeah.
Got defended, Joey. I think that's kind of a very important point here. Let's show it on the 5 because I've been watching this like a hawk. Good bottoming tail candle, but that doesn't end the story. Oh, my mistake. So let's zoom in a little bit. We were yelling earlier on at about 55. That's where I got long into the break of 60. And That 55, it didn't hold like a glove. You really can't expect a name like this with the volatility, the price, the volume to hold it to the T. At least I don't. And look where this one went to, 54.50, and now it's 59. So it really is holding that technical area of support. And if you put your stop below 55 and it was too close, lesson learned, right? Especially with these type of names. Now, what I'd be looking for is this bottoming tail candle, which is a hammer candle right now, to be followed by this current candle that we just opened up at. I need to see a decided breach of the prior bar high, this 1130 hammer candle, bottoming tail, whatever you want to call it. This 1135 candle has got to breach the high and start moseying on up back into 61 and 62 so that, the longs feel confident that we can hit that 65 and take it out decidedly. Alas, we're not doing that at the moment. In fact, we've got a lower high and dropping back down into 58 and a quarter, but that's not the end of the matter. This 5-minute candle just opened up. So we're not going to really, worry too much about that at the moment. Now, a couple of bamboozling names here. IBRX, I was about to get in on this candle here and give it to prior bar low into 822. Sorry, UVIX, excuse me, not IBRX. And this candle ended up being a bottoming tail candle, got bought up aggressively, but it did breach prior bar low. So now I'm going to start looking at UVIX, not as, or the trade on UVIX, not to look to prior bar low because it looks like it's getting breached on occasion, but to put it below the 20. So that's going to obviously affect the amount of shares that I take. So UVIX in focus, but so is IBRX. Shout out to Cool Brioche for pointing this one out. Bottoming tail candle in 850. This one could be on the way to 877, showing 860 right now. I would give it to the $0.5, 848, 849. For another attempt at that $0.75. I don't think we got any closing prints. No, we didn't. Above that $0.75, 77 the high, but it looks like 75 is going to be in focus as well. I'm in MVST. I know it's not showing it on the position board, and I do apologize about that. Can't take any trades right now, Assassino, but I will shortly. We are in at 87, showing me 85, so we're 2 pennies out of the money. I stop out below. I gave it to 79, but I don't think that's accurate anymore. I'm going to give it to this bar low because it's got a whole trend. So that's this bar low over here, so we're going to give it to about 182. We're going to keep an eye out on that. Don't forget about SWMR, all right? It tried to maneuver back into 60, but prior bar high, for anybody who's basing their trade on the breach of prior bar high, it's 60.50 on the dot. This current bar high, the 1135 candle, $60 on the dot. So now there is a seller here at the whole dollar, at the $10 area, 60. So we can't breach prior bar high. We've got a higher low, but we don't have a higher high. So let's keep an eye out on that, and we'll look to execute, I think, here on IBRX, Joey.
Jeez, yeah, MU's going on a run. Great call out there on Netflix as well, too, Gorev, as that thing just absolutely blasted through the volume-weighted average price. Let's pull up some of these names, guys, and go through some of the larger cap equities here. So we'll pull up the 5-minute. Boom. Not too much going on here with NVDA. We talked about the supply zones through 85 and definitely at 200. We know about that. Then we also have Apple that's moving to the downside, definitely helping drag the overall market with it. And where are we from that previous period? I think this could be a good potential, by 12% there. Maybe the street not liking the cost of memory right now, about 12% of the total cost of making an iPhone. So maybe they're not in love with that. Google's still doing Google things, holding up, but we are on the backside of the trend. Bottom's at 294, and then now it's just recovering. So this thing's an absolute superstar. It's like SGA right here. So yeah, Google and SGA, same thing. SGA being Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the best NBA player right now, Canadian, by the way.
Didn't he have like a record for the amount of 20-point games in a row or something like that?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous, bro.
Jeez.
Whole life is
Was he was Finals MVP, right? Like a couple years ago?
Yeah. Last year.
Last year, yeah.
Last year, yeah. So shout out to him. All right, yeah, moving forward, guys, I was going to say something else, but it kind of slipped my mind. Qualcomm, how have you been performing? Not that good. I'm not in love with this stock, to be honest with you. PanW, how have you been up to? We'll take a look at it from a daily. We don't really typically talk about this from an intraday, but here it is. The cybersecurity names with a massive recovery off of the lows. That's 20% in PanW. And my good friend CrowdStrike over here, a big-time recovery, and we're holding the backside of this trend, and this is exactly what we want to see. So maybe we can start to climb a little bit higher. We went over the profile tracker, it's still down about 11% from my previous entry and 23% here off of that pivot high. But I think that we can find somewhat of a recovery. And I don't even really want to talk about the banks right now, even though we're going to. It's just like, hey, like what's going on? But we know that essentially, so there's a couple of names aside from tech. It's like you buy the dip on, and in my opinion, JPM, full disclosure, I own a little bit of it, but nothing substantial. Is that the more this thing sells off, the more I just want to buy it at the end of the day. Largest bank on the planet. So IonQ, how's the quantum space been up to? IonQ, QUBT. We got RGTI still performing. Like, this is what I'm talking about. You have a sector that is just so hot, and everybody's talking about it to the point where like nobody really cares because they're not making any money. I understand that a lot of the companies are signing government contracts outside of the United States, and that's kind of what the direction that you want to head. But if you look at it from an investment standpoint, they're not just there yet.
All right, guys. Oh, man, there goes IBRX. Oh, good call out, Cool Brioche. What a move, man. Through the breach of 60 into 72, on the way to 77s. IBRX is looking good. It's not up big. It's only up 6 1/5, but there it goes into 75. This is the level we were talking about. I gauge resistance at 75, despite the fact the high of the day is 77. What a recovery for IBRX. Shouldn't have hesitated on that one. Continuing to watch here. Let's see if we can take out that 77 seller and mosey on up. Maybe into $9 here, up 6.52%. I want to bring your attention to SWMR. So, look, I'm not trying to say that this is over or anything like that, but we did breach prior bar high, so that's a clean hold at 55 for anybody who took that. And then we take out the prior bar high at 60.50. I'm talking about the 11:30 candle. Now the 11:35 candle is now prior bar. So the high of that is 63.74. We haven't quite made it up there yet, but this candle has a higher low. So you've got 2 candles in a row with a higher low. You're waiting for that higher high to get breached, by the way. I would say by a clean hold of 64. Why I drew this downtrend here is because I want to just keep an eye on the overall trend, you know, not get myopic looking at 55 or prior bar, but get a gauge of the overall trend. So SWMR, ever since putting in that 65.04 high, has been kind of a bit of a sell. Just got stopped out of MVST as it did breach my area there into 182. I did move up my stop to this level over here, to this bar. I didn't want to give it all the way down to 70. Look, if it ends up holding at the 20 at 82, then shows me the first 5-minute candle to make a new high, I'll get in. But I didn't really want to hold this one down either. UVIX is breaking out again. Here we go. So it did hold despite the bamboozling trade over here with this doji candle. 835 now, 840 high. Be on the lookout for that. We're going to pause for a second. We're sending you to the big desk with Adara.
Keep an eye here on GeoOGL. I mentioned this came out during that period where X is down, X is back up. And I guess it looks like during that period, we were seeing some stories from the New York Times suggesting that apparently a top cloud executive at Google met with a Pentagon executive on February 26th to pitch Google Cloud as the best partner for the Pentagon. So interesting look there. Nothing really market moving. Again, it did come out during that X outage, but I did want to mention the story because it's kind of interesting. Also of note here, keep an eye on USO. Seeing reports here that Qatar's Ras Laffan installations are being evacuated after Iran threatened to attack Gulf energy facilities. So again, looks like there could be some attacks on energy in the Gulf. Back to you.
All right, good stuff.
Right, Joey.
Lily, it's Leanne, sorry. Honestly, I just use a volume scanner for options, and it's typically the same names. You have some outliers once in a blue moon, but yeah, that's all I have. You can construct one through your scan. I'm not sure what platform you're using, but yeah, you can just use the basic volume scan if that's what you're looking for, and that's when you'll see that increase. Bart, I mean, how's SMR been doing today? We were talking about that one yesterday. It was a pretty solid move. Typically not that liquid here today, right, on the lower time frames, and not doing too much. It's starting to show some prints, and maybe it's starting to look like it can find a base here right around that $12 mark. So maybe you find a little bit of a move, but there goes Bitcoin right back up. I thought we would experience a little bit of selling here. We need to break this previous pivot, right? So absorb some more liquidity. The shelf I'm not in love with, but we are on the backside of this trend, which is something positive, and then we're going to hold on to that until proven otherwise. Volume weighted average price is going to be that primary target. You can see that we're on the backside here. Now 5-minute candles, 15 minutes we've been sitting on there, and then sure enough, if the market finds any form of a pop, then I think it's going to help lead Bitcoin that way as well. I need to find me. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna. Did you see that one? Yeah. All right. I'm glad that I didn't. But yeah, man, keep doing your thing. Make sure you're in the right places at the right time, and avoid the other places where you won't necessarily find that. Essentially, delts. Go over our scanner a little bit more. I like how you chuckled because then I had a feeling you read it. But anyways, coin. Let's see what that's been up to. Been selling. It had a pretty strong day yesterday, I believe, and then giving back the majority of that move and then some, which is unfortunate. SoFi obviously getting beat up, but starting to form this bull flag. I think we want to keep an eye on it just in case we do get a breakup into that $20 mark. So we'll keep an eye over there on SoFi. And then we also have Robinhood not performing too good either, guys. Still down about 50% off of its previous high.
All right, just punching in a little risk here. Let's see what we can get on this one. So there was a big sell-off here on IBRX, but it did reclaim trend pretty quickly, coming to the $0.50. So let's give this one a look over here. So it's holding the 20, right? So the low of the current candle is 51.50. Let's see, coming into 57. All right, 51.50. Give it to 851. Let's see what we get on this monster over here. Let's see if we can get a nice trade on this, because I missed the initial move up on IBRX. Comes back down, touches 877, but it's still putting in higher lows. So we'll see what this one has to offer us. So for this trade, for me, 67 is going to be 1R and 76 is 2R. So 76 doesn't require a high of day breach, because 77 is the high of the day. So let's pack our patience, see what IBRX has to offer. I'm still keeping an eye here on MVST as well. I got stopped out of this one, but it is, well, it's not reclaiming trend here, but we'll see. We'll see if it can breach prior bar high, get back above 85. I could be convinced, but for the moment, going to steer clear of this. Holy cow, I'm going to get stopped out of IBRX already. I gave it to current bar low, right? Current bar low 51.50. Yeah, I did. So if it ends up breaching current bar low, prior bar low is 48.50. We'll see what this one has to offer. Yeah, MVST is coming back down. So happy I didn't get back involved in that. But UVIX, man, it is just headed to the high side here. Holy cow, yeah, every time I look at this, it's putting in higher lows. Not quite at the high of the day yet. 840 is the high of the day, but it looks like the selling came in into the high 30s. It's holding trend really well, and up 13 2/3. So that could be a great entry here. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot today, guys. There's just not a lot running. SWMR is still putting in those lower high trends. If you picked it up off 55, great for you, but if you're looking for the trend is still lower highs and zigging and zagging here, a little above 60, a little bit below 60. So not much in the way for me to trade at the moment. I do apologize. I'm keeping my eye on the top scanner, but nothing coming up. And you know, if nothing's coming up, I'm not going to take these trades. So I'll take the opportunity to look at whatever you guys want me to look at. You got a lot of you keep talking about TPET, but I mean, I don't like it at these levels, but we'll look at it for you, and there's something, maybe we'll execute. But I don't like TPET at these levels. I don't like the chart pattern. I don't like that it's below VWAP. It's obviously on a prolonged downtrend over here with that high being about 134. And then you get another lower high at 124. And now we're getting another lower high at 112. So it does seem like it's basically a downward channel, at least for now. And you can kind of parallel that the other way and trade it as such. And that's not really my style of trading, but if you guys like that, you guys like that. If it gets back above VWAP 118, most notably though, it's got to get above 124, 125 just to take out that prior area high. I could get involved, but until that time, I'm going to steer clear. So nothing for me. Take a look at ARTL, says Outlaw Trader. Let's take a look. ARTL, what do we got on that? Yeah, I do have that actually on the side chart over here. Why I didn't mention it at all. Look at what it's been doing, Outlaw Trader. Ever since it lost VWAP at 10 o'clock on the dot, it has been not a good trade. And I just got stopped out again of IBRX. So that's it. I'm not going to give back more off my SWMR trade. We're just not going to do that. So I'm going to steer clear of trading unless there's an A+ setup, and there are none at the moment, at least that I can see. So speaking about ARTL, let's pull up the ticker over here so we can follow along. I could get involved in this, but we've got to have a decisive clearing of VWAP. But it's in suspicion. It's under suspicion, I should say. And the reason I say that is look at what we did at 9:30. You know, the volume really came in aggressively. 9:30, you put in the highest volume bars in the day. You get into the high of the day. You take out the pre-market high. You reclaim VWAP. And then it just quickly as, it had strength, as quickly as it showed the weakness. And now I would say prolonged area of weakness because it's trading below VWAP really with marginally higher lows, okay? It could be a flat top break. It could be. And if you want to extend that trend line even more, it definitely does show you some higher low patterns here. So if you want to build a position, possibly kind of jiving with this upper trend line over here, with the view that this is going to squeeze into 7.25, 7.5, and you want to take advantage of that scalp trade, I think that's probably a good thing. It's not a bad trade setup, but I would really be basing my outs on this lower trend line. If it's to lose it quite decisively, I'd get the hell out of there because this one could quickly find itself at $6. So that's it, Joey. I mean, nothing for me at the moment. We're going to steer clear.
All right, cool. So yeah, what we got going on here is a nice add on Bitcoin. Some more indecision prints on the way up. I like that stopping volume at the lows off that 5-minute print. We wait for that pullback. We get a starter position rocking and rolling. We break that trend. Now we're on the back side of it, and now we're getting a nice sustained move here, a little bit higher. If we can get the buyers to step in, that'd be absolutely phenomenal. But we do want to see an uptick in the volume by time profile. So that wasn't a bad little ad right there. Can you take a look at NVDA, Lewis? Anything for you, my friend? We shall do that here momentarily. Eyes there. If we can break this pivot at 50, then I think we can take that next step higher, which could be into 52, 53s roughly. So let's go. But the volume, we won't get that. We won't get that if this remains like this, right? So you can see that sellers have the ability to step in and push price significantly lower now. So unless we really look how easy it is. So it's not more or less buyers stepping in, it's sellers really just pushing price lower. So let's take a look at what NVDA is up to. I bought a little bit more, full disclosure. In this yeah, I'm going to make NVDA my largest position, to be honest with you. Right now, Bitcoin is there, but we're slowly creeping up on NVDA. Just in this consolidation, I have no issues with buying more south of 170 if it ever happens to get to that neck of the woods. This is lengthy, right? And I think the company is just too good and too strong and too important in order for it. But hey, like there's another way that we can look at it. The longer the consolidation, the bigger the breakout. So that's kind of what we're hoping for here. I'm not going to call it a punch and pray, but let's rock and roll there on NVDA, and let's go IBIT. Punch through that 50. You can do it. I believe in you. I believe in you, crypto space. But here it is, holding up on VWAP relatively nice. You have that selling in the pre-market, and then right out of the gate, out of the open, and then now we're just holding up above this mark. Going to wait for 2 o'clock to see what JP has to say. Second last meeting there with him. Pause, most likely. I think that's being factored in. But other than that, Bitcoin hasn't been very reactive to it as of late, right? If anything, it's sold off. You have those initial pops, and then sure enough, it fades the rest of them. We do have a lot of supply on NVDA, so we're going to struggle through those marks. And there's a lot in the overall market, too. So I wouldn't necessarily say that we have this free range to roam, essentially, in a couple of their names, even though we'll pull this up here one more time and see what we got going on at this $200 mark expiring tomorrow. 233,000 contracts, that's a lot. That's a lot of supply. And even if you go down a couple of strikes, 190, 185, and then 185, 123. We're going to have to wait until next week to see where those are actually going to roll over, or if they're going to slowly start to cool down, because it's extremely important to figure that out with 25th. Let's go over to the 27th here, because I believe that might be the Friday. Why you got to do that to me?
Why you gotta go and do that now, Dov?
So yeah, so like there is still 40,000 over here. At 185, you have that 18,600, 195, 21.4. But yeah, so we're gonna have to be really patient with this one. All right, there we go, a nice uptick. Step in volume, you can do it, bang, 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 bang. We're gonna give it a little bit of encouragement there, Sharif, to see if we can get this break. Just watch the tape, this is really important. So as we continuously move lower, you can see those clean flushes. And what I wanna do is just slightly change my quote highlight. Oh, these dark pool prints will get you every time, Sharif. Considering, yeah, I know, it prints
You know what
up
I was
higher.
told too by Mark and by Jose and everybody, like you need to be able to vibe code into your risk calculator the wicks, because you see it on level 2 as one thing. What's actually running behind the scenes is you're gonna see certain prices, dark pools will trigger you in or give you a wrong it'll give you a wrong price. Yeah, so there's a way to kind of run an algorithm that takes from multiple sources and then kind of tries to filter out the noise, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a serious problem.
You know what I noticed? So like when I'm watching my dark pools is that you'll have an odd number of orders hit the tape, and then that's when it'll flush, but then it'll just go right back to between or at the bid in the ask, right? So yeah, I mean, that's a very valid point. Maybe you'll have to take that into consideration. I don't know.
You know what else?
What's that, brother?
Mark gave me a brilliant idea. He's like, instead of actually trying to pull the data from the API, you could have a screen reader. So you have a script that's looking at the level 2 on your screen, and it's taking the price actually as you see it, and not the delayed version sometimes that you get from the API. And then he's like, you can run both. He's like, you can run the data from the API and then compare that to the to what the screen reader is seeing, and then it gives you kind of the best kind of formula or the best price, sort of speaking. And he speaks from experience, because before Fabian was designing all these apps that we have running on the screen, Mark was designing them as well. So yeah, he has a lot of background information on that. Joey, I want to mention one thing here that Mike PD Ryder mentioned. This is a great look, Mike P. Great call out here by you. I wish you had, I know you just got on it, so I'm not trying to blame you or anything like that, nor would I. But there's a flat top break through 1350 on VG, and now it is really looking good. 1390 high probably works its way into about 14 or so, maybe even more, man. VG's up, not big on the day. We're up 6 and change, almost 7, but that's a great looking structure over here, especially for trend traders. Respect for the 10 EMA, respect for the breakout area after it clears it. Moseys on up to 1365, drops back down, holds not only the 50 penny breakout level, but that 50 penny breakout level was also overlapping with the 10 EMA on the 5, and there it goes into the high of the day. Shout out to Mike PD Ryder, 1391 high. It's up 7 1/4 now, probably on its way to 14. VG is the ticker. There's another high, 1394. The breakout's on now on VG, moving into 14. Good look on this one, very strong. 10 EMA on the 5 takes us down to 13 2/3. Current bar low is on the 5, of course, always 1382. Prior bar low right on the $0.75, 1375 on the dot. So VG looking real good over here. But so is SWMR. So for those who think that, you know, the good days, I think, for SWMR are over, I just would humbly disagree. I think we're putting in a bit of a compression pattern with some higher lows and lower highs. I think this one's taking a break, you know, getting some something to eat there. And before Mosey's on up, I don't know, $75, $100. This thing is on the rampage. It was on the rampage yesterday. It's on the rampage today. From the opening print to the high today, we're up 440%. So, and I don't really see, other than, you know, some lower highs here, a negative look. In fact, look at where VWAP is. Geez Louise, $49. It's south of 50. We are extended, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing here on SWMR. So I'm waiting for this one to set up. I don't think this trade is done, and it's obviously able to give you a lot of profit very quickly, but that works both ways. So we're going to wait for that, you know, A plus setup on SWMR, and then I might mosey back in. Other than that, we're going to be looking at VG here. So we'll see how those go. Let's see what City Boy's talking about there. He's saying VNRX. I think you were the second or third person to mention that VNRX. Yeah, I remember, I think Cool Brioche was telling me to look at this one as well. And I didn't like it. And I bet you can guess why. Substantially below the volume. Below the volume weighted average price. Also, that lower high kind of unbroken here. Couple of problems. You got to get above 29 pennies. That's where VWAP is. Moreover, into that 29 pennies, we're going to be fighting with 30, not just because it's the 10 penny level, but because it is the official high of the day. Look at that. That is the 930 high there. We got it to, I want to say the exact price was 30 and a quarter pennies. And then once we get above that 30, if we get above 30 pennies here, you're going to be looking at that pre-market high that we put in at 835, the high of which is 38 pennies. So I feel this one is on a bit of a downtrend. It's not exactly appetizing as a long, but it could all change very quickly. We know how these small cap gappers act, and if it changes its tune, so will I. So that's my look there. I don't have anything, guys. I do apologize for not trading, but the setup's got to come in, and right now they're not, Joey.
All right, brother. Yeah, Gorev, my eyes are fully on USO right now. We got that strong move up in IBIT. That's where you've seen my average move with it. And then we're starting to take a little bit of an aggressive pullback. So what I added on the way up, you can see. And if it comes back to the break even, then we're going to have to get out as the market is really, really moving to the downside. Volume picking up in Bitcoin as well, too. Adara, what do you have?
Happening now.
Take a look here at this market right now. Nasdaq kind of topping around here, trying to figure out a sense of direction as we head into that FOMC meeting at 2 p.m. Well, we get the decision rather at 2 p.m. Meeting's already been happening. Then at 2:30 p.m. we're going to have Fed Chair Powell's conference, because I've seen some people in the chat asking when that's going to happen. USO is on watch here, of course, as it has been over the last couple of days. We do continue to have these tensions here in the Middle East. Most recently, as of a couple of minutes ago, seeing reports that the IDF has identified Iranian missiles launched towards Israel. So something to be aware of here. And again, keep an eye on these headlines if you are trading names like USO. I also just saw this pop up on X. This is something that I'm going to have a post about a couple minutes before it starts. But at 1 p.m. Eastern, so an hour before the Fed meeting, we're going to have the annual shareholder meeting from Disney, at which point new CEO Josh D'Amaro will take the reins. So nice look here for DIS, as I mentioned. Fun fact, 1 year before Josh D'Amaro took the reins at Disney, Lip Bhutan officially took the reins at Intel. He's been at Intel now for 365 days. Just a little fun fact while I'm here. Now, before we send you back over to Neil and his lesson of the day, another sector I think worth keeping an eye on here as well, like some of these electronic names or optical names. You've got like Photonics plays as well, LITE, COHR. There's another one, AAOI. Now, of course, we did have GTC 2026. Some of these names were on watch in that regard, but we also had this week, as I've mentioned, lots of different conferences. This OFC, which is like an optical fiber communications conference. So that is where you get some of these plays on watch as well. And of course, as I've mentioned a couple times now, Fed Chair Powell. There he is. Will be taking the podium. This is going to be one of his last speeches. It's going to be his last dot plot during his time as Fed chair. I've not updated this in like a year, so I'll update that once he departs the Fed. But very likely to wear a purple tie. Just a little kind of fun Powell fact here for you, fun Fed fact, before we send you over to Neil's lesson of the day. So Neil, what's today's lesson?
Let's pour out a little liquor for, no, just kidding, for Jerome Powell. Nah, he's not dead, but yeah, last time we'll get Powell. It'll be interesting. You saw me come on earlier, and I was sort of talking. The discussion was about the lottery tickets, and I was mentioning like risk versus reward, or risk mitigation when the cost is nothing to mitigate that risk. And so it had me sort of thinking, okay, well, if I'm not going to talk about that because I already said it, what's like another like very obvious low-hanging fruit that traders can do, right? I think it's like something is, when talking about that risk mitigation, where the cost of doing something is cheap, but it helps you from suffering like a massive downside. I mean, I wanted to quantify this as an example first, and then I'll get to the point that I want to make in a second. I'm going to use USO in an example here in a second, so I'm going to lead this chart up. Let's imagine a scenario where you were long USO like here. Right, so there's like an upward trend in the pre-market. There's a breakout trade. So you're taking this breakout, and you're like, okay, well, if it breaks through this stop, I'm out. I want to get out if it breaks this. And you do all your trading manually, so you're punching in manually. You're like, well, if I see it go under 118.70, I'm going to punch out of my trade. but you don't like to use stops. So you don't set stops. You just sort of sit there and you're watching it and you're doing other things. And I'm on my phone playing whatever game. Maybe you're watching YouTube or going through TikTok while it's working for you and you're like, yeah, baby. But you know at any moment a headline could come through. Now, if you know you're punching out when it breaks this level, the cost to you to setting a stop order is as simple as hitting a key and hitting enter, which means it's like a very infinitesimal small amount of energy that you have to expend. Effectively nothing. But what it could save you from is, imagine there was some kind of a spike. If there was something that happened in Iran that caused oil futures, maybe they open up to straight, like instantly. Like it's a war is over. Like that would be a disaster move for you to the downside. And all you got to do is put in a stop order. That's low-hanging fruit in terms of risk management. Low-hanging fruit in terms of strategies, I just wanted to show you this top here. I've talked about this during when meme stocks are going. If there's meme stocks that are moving, like back in the day when GameStop would run and you could trade like AMC or COS and then wait for GameStop to make a move and then just follow it in the other one, that's what you had a little bit of in USO. So look at this top. And look at this candle at 10:57 on a 3-minute on USO. Remember we were looking at TPET? I want to show you something because I actually made a trade on TPET that I actually think sucked. Because this is where, remember I said I was going to short TPET under VWAP when I made that high? So this is a trade I got, 111, and I actually just reloaded it at 110. I finally got the rest of the shares because I didn't get it on the way down here. But 10:57, that's up here. Like, it breaks, well, sorry, it breaks VWAP there is what I should be saying. But 1057 is right in this candle as it's losing support on VWAP. So it loses VWAP. This is when USO breaks down. This is where I get short. Like, you've got it down, it's already trending off of the top. Like, you had several minutes, and this is why I say it's not that good of a trade. Like, winning trade's a winning trade, but it's not that good of a trade because you could have been short up here at 115 when you've already seen that hammer down candle on USO. So you see you have a small cap here, which effectively is just going up when oil goes up and goes up more so. So when it gives you this breakdown, you've already got your leading indicator. I'm just going to pull the USO chart up again, doing this. And it's just following along. And it falls right into exactly $1. It just goes in there clean. Like, that would be an example of a low-hanging fruit trade, the same way that just using a stop order. Like, if you are trading TPT or BATL, or I forget the other name of the other one, there's like 3 or 4 of them. You can check our watch list. I have them all in there. Thank you, Adara. If you're doing that and not looking at USO, and it cuts both ways, you could just be in a long trade that you're riding and being like, okay, well, now I know where to trail out of the rest of it. When we make this little bit of a topping tail and then reject into VWAP, that could have been your exit strategy. But the cost of you to look it up, know that I'm trading this stock and it's moving loosely based on this instrument, so I'm going to have that up. Instead of having the Nasdaq up or whatever else you might watch, that's going to be irrelevant to TPET or to BATL. Throw something else up there. And maybe it gives you a free entry. And I'll be straight up honest with you. When, like, my best trade outside of, there was like one series of halts on meme stocks in the DJT land, that and Funware. But if we go back to the meme craze, going back to GameStop, my best trade wasn't on GameStop. It was literally the morning that nobody could get, like, the bid just halted like 7 or 8 times. People were complaining about not being able to execute on their accounts. It was that morning on GameStop. And when it made the final halt at the bottom, my best trade in that meme craze wasn't going long GameStop at the bottom. It was watching GameStop already hold a low for the first time all morning. It was halting to the upside after like 8 or 9 straight down halts. And was I long GameStop? No. I was long costs at the low of the day because GameStop had already bounced and was already halting up. And I could get one of the other stocks that was just following it literally still at the low of the day. And it's not a free money trade. Cost didn't have to go up there, but it was very low hanging fruit to at least be looking out for it. Hey, maybe you could have done AMC as well. So there's other types of trading opportunities that don't require you to like be perfect in picking tops and bottoms. Maybe you got the top on USO there, but you didn't have to. This was already making lower highs, and it gave you this entry. As I said, this wasn't even a good entry. This is the moment here when you had confirmation that USO had made that top. You're playing lower highs. I could have done this and shorted that and given it to there. It ends up working getting the breakdown here, but that's a bit of a chase move. So again, just try to find those low-hanging fruit opportunities. They don't come around very often, but sometimes they can be pretty fruitful if you're looking out for it. And certainly when a group is moving, whether it's small cappers or meme stocks, there's kind of a sentiment play, oftentimes there will be something leading the charge. And if you can be monitoring that, you might be able to just make a quick little follow trade where you've already seen the move happen and you're just betting that it's going to continue to follow like it was on the way up. It'll fall on the way down, or vice versa. So there's your lesson of the day. I can't really tell you anything about the lunch. Again, I feel like I haven't eaten it. I'm always eating afternoon here. So there's like a little loaded tiny baked potato, and we got our beef in here and the broccoli that I don't like. I'll give you guys a grade after I've had a little bit, but best of luck in your trading. Don't forget we got the Fed a little bit later on today. We'll expect no change for sure, but it doesn't mean there won't be fireworks. So you'll see us a little bit earlier, coming on probably at 1:45. For now, we'll send you guys back to the midday.
All right, man, make sure you guys get that double espresso in there. Gore, have a nice pullback. The volatility spike kicked in there on USO, flushed out. I mean, this thing jumped 20 cents like it was absolutely nothing, and that volume drops instantly. Yeah, I know. It came down pretty quick. We're all out. We got stopped out 50% here on our IBIT trade. Just because of this ad, we could have held on to some here if we just went in full size, but we were waiting for the precise entry. We got that ad. Worked out for us half decently, and then obviously first in, first out. Comes back to the break even, and then we would be OTM if we still held on to this position. So we'll take a small W. Eyes on USO here, guys, to see if we can get any form of a bounce. It looks like we might. The volume kicked up on the to the downside. Now I'm just waiting for a pullback, and as long as we can hold that 120.70 mark, then I like it for a potential long. I do like this indecision print, but there is some selling pressure stepping right in here. South of the volume weighted average price, so location, location, location. I like that here on that specific print. And sure enough, let's see. Oh, dude, I seen that. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'll talk about it. No, I just seen a really nice spot down by my old neighborhood there. Ooh. Yeah, Humber Shores made me think, man.
Hold on, spot like
a place. Yeah. But I didn't like obviously inquire.
Yo, it's a buyer's market, baby.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about the house behind my condo?
No.
So big lots, 60 foot by I think 120 or 130, something like that. So 2 years ago, 23, Buddy had it listed for 2.2. Okay.
Yeah.
So my cousin, who's looking, he lives in my area. He's looking to buy a house. So he goes up to him. He to the real estate. He tries to get it. He lowballs him like 1.9, something like that, right? He
on a 2.2? I don't think that's 2. I think that's reasonable. That's where you start.
You know what 23 was like, though. 22 and 23 was crazy. Anyway, make a long story short, he's like, my guy's not even going to get back to you. All right?
Yeah.
Sadly.
Got these agents.
Hold on, bro.
I'm listening, man.
The dude dies. So the dude who owns the property dies. His family takes over. So his estate, his kids, House Sigma. How much should it sell for, Joey? 1.1.
Yeah, I was gonna say
1.5. 1.1.
Yeah, because they just wanted that. They wanted to offload it.
It's not just that, dude. Well, fine. It was on the market for 6 months before they accepted 1.1.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough. Yeah, but I mean, 6 months. When I sold my condo, it wasn't on that long actually. Only like probably about a month and a half, 2 months, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. But
you were at the height.
Yeah, I caught the top.
Yeah, exactly. You should be thanking. You should be thanking the dude upstairs.
Because the same unit that I sold mine for, essentially going for 100K less.
Right. Well, there you go.
You know what I mean? So
and it'd be worse now. Let me tell you.
Yeah. I mean, but people are buying these dips. I guess we can say.
They are.
A lot of
you gotta have cash, though, baby.
You gotta have the cash.
Exactly.
Man. You gotta have the cash. And you don't. I don't know if you want to go that variable. Maybe actually now would be the time to go variable. But it's crazy they don't tell you about that stuff, because think about how many people got screwed over during the QT, where essentially they're increasing rates, and people who have variable mortgages.
Exactly. And don't forget about our central bank governor, Tiff Macklem, telling the entire country, don't worry, we're not going to raise rates. Go, lever up, buy houses. Literally a year later, rates
people,
up.
Yeah, exactly. People adding another $500-600 onto their mortgage.
I don't know how he still has a job, man. In any event.
I can tell you how. But anyway, Sharif, there goes USO, Gordman. That thing tanked. That level didn't hold up. Our boy, Adam James, someone put in a ticker that I missed. Put it in there. Was it FFE? Yeah, I think it was. So if you're still in the chat, I know you asked multiple times or something along those lines. I don't have it right now, but there goes USO to the downside, maybe a volatility spike. I'm waiting to hear. I heard Adara.
Yeah.
Let's see what Adara has to say.
Meta, with an interesting little headline here. They're launching something called the Creator Fast Track Program, specifically for Facebook. So if you have over 100,000 followers on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, you'll be able to get $1,000 a month for 3 months. If you have over 1 million followers on these platforms, you can get $3,000. Basically, it's just to attract, again, like established, well-known creators to post on Facebook, but they'll have to be posting eligible Reels. So it's specifically for Reels content. Keep an eye on CRDO as well. I'm just seeing a headline come through, I guess. Apparently someone in Nvidia said that they're expecting some CPX to appear with Feynman, so I guess that would be a catalyst here for CRDO. It's not really moving too much, but again, just be aware, GTC, we're on the back half now of GTC, so there can still be some companies that will be on watch with that in mind. Back to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
that's interesting there. I know he's been trying to move the needle. People have been posting less on Instagram, and organically, I think a lot of the views are down. And so I think he's obviously trying to move the needle there. If you're not viewing, they're not running ads, right? And that's the whole business. So interesting. Look, guys, I'm not trading until SWMR sets up. I'm waiting for the A+ setup here on SWMR. It could be coming into focus. I don't want to base it on these two bottoming tail candles. I need to see a little bit more, okay? I'm not just saying $60 is the level. I need to see a decided break of that downtrend there that I've got on the screen. I've tried to draw that in on both timelines, top and bottom. Once we get a decided break of that and I see the tape teleportation and the bid move, we're gonna get involved. I've based my risk. I've got everything ready. I've got different price levels that I'm basing my risk at based on the stop that I want to get out at. So I don't like anything. Nothing is going in the direction or setting up in the way that I like. So I do apologize, but we're going to keep an eye here on SWMR. And when it's ready, I'll take it. Adara.
A couple different oil headlines to go over here. We'll look at USO while we do this. So for one, we're getting some more news about some, I guess, conflict here in the Middle East. Israel striking 2 bridges in Lebanon's Litani River. I'm also hearing reports from Reuters suggesting that there were 2 loud booms heard in Riyadh. Now, we also have comments from Vice President J.D. Vance right now with regards to oil and gas. He's going to be meeting American Petroleum Institute board members tomorrow. And he also said, quote, that he'll be announcing a couple things in the next 24 to 48 hours with regards to gas prices. So some kind of oil announcement on watch within the next day or so. Just be aware here. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that. All right, I'm just gonna look at Costco here. Yeah, I'm not trading until this sets up. But let's look at Costco for Bart. Bart's saying COST. I haven't looked at that in a minute, so I wouldn't mind taking a gander about how Costco is looking, at least on the wider time frame first, before we get it intraday. It's down about 0.7. The trend, though, okay, so interesting. Look here on the trend. I don't know. I feel like we're still suffering from that lower high setup that we've been suffering from since putting in all-time highs back in February of last year now. So that's over a year ago. We've been putting in lower highs. This $1,000 area locally, a little above 1,000, a little bit below. Good local higher lows as well, to be fair to Costco, not just a symphony of lower highs, but you got this breakout here. Levels that I would be interested on Costco, 1,020 to 1,030. A lot of topping tail candles go through there. It looks like no closing prints above that 1,015 area, at least locally. So that would be the first level I'm looking at, then 20 for the wicks, and then 30, obviously, for the most outlying wicks. And then you have to look, of course, at June of last year, which is another local area high of 1,067. That's daily. Intraday, it's a bit of a downtrend, continuing that downtrend downtrend from yesterday. It was basically a short any pop. I mean, I don't think this one even breached the 10 EMA on the 5 on a closing basis yesterday. Such a clean short it was. It looks a lot better yesterday in terms of volume and, you know, the fullness of the candles than it does today. Look how sparsely located the candles are intraday today versus what we got, the very clean lower high, lower low setup yesterday. So Costco, not quite yet ready to break out on the daily. Certainly here on intraday, negative on the day, down into 986 or so, Joey. So not strong as Costco.
Yeah, re-entry, Gore, I was just thinking re-entry opportunity there on IBIT at 40.35 as it's starting to form somewhat of a base. We did get a pop-up right into 120.89 and then started to sell here. 121 going to be some resistance zone on USO, so we've got to keep an eye out on that. What is my risk profile? I mean, I already have that defined. If it cracks the low of this, then we're at a dodge. We'll give it approximately 40 cents or so. So we're in at 64s. We get out at 24s, and that's it, right? That's going to be all she wrote for this potential trade. It looks like we might continue to the downside here. Momentum definitely picked up in that direction. Let's see if we can hold this pivot level that I'm looking at, this indecision print. We get that pop up there, but then as soon as we have that support level now acting as resistance, we couldn't breach that, and then now starting to come back in. So we got to keep an eye out, a close eye out here on USO. We don't want to give back what we just made on IBIT ahead of FOMC because around 2:30 after Jerome Powell's done talking, then I think that's when the real opportunities are going to really start to display themselves. Not looking promising right now in USO though. But we'll say we'll remain optimistic here, but in this position. But other than that, all right, let's see what everybody else is looking at. Your favorite 1 minute candle print at 121. Yeah, well, I mean, it printed at, again, on the lower time frame on the 1 minute after it did that additional leg lower Gore. It printed at 120.45s roughly is the open, but now we're starting to get these clean flushes. So I got to get ready I got to get prepared to get out of dodge. And if that's going to be the case, you have double signal, both getting blown past, so we might not find somewhat of a bounce. We had a strong opening drive, but the thing is the market is slowly starting to uptick, and we have to take that into consideration. So USO not looking too good. Yeah, I think we're done here, Gore. I don't got too much risk left on this trade. Mind taking a look at VST? Absolutely, I don't mind at all. You asked
I just
finally.
looked at it. It's 170 bucks. Yeah.
Did you?
It's not bad. It's up 3.5. Yeah.
It's not very liquid now, is it?
No.
So there it is, VST, not too bad. How do we look on a daily? That's not okay. I mean, you're finding a bottom there at 157. Now you're climbing up to 170, which, I mean, you're not going to complain about, really. I got to keep my eyes here on the bloody oil
take
here.
over?
No,
Okay.
I'm okay. I
All
don't have too much size on it, to be honest with you, because considering I do believe that we're going to get stopped there. I thought we'd get a little bit more of a bounce, but as soon as we recognize the rejection of that resistance zone, it's just probably best to get out, and whatever happens, happens. I mean, we were screwed. Yeah, I mean, it's probably done right now. Lululemon, how have you been performing?
It's actually up, man. It's up 4.5. Like, I think the market, I don't know, man.
Okay, there I'm out here. We're printing 30s. So I got a couple more cents, but not very much more. Let's take a look at Lululemon. I mean, I don't love the retail space, right? Like some of these, the brand names, the American Eagles, the Gaps, and Ralph Lauren's. I just personally don't like them from an investment standpoint. They're up, down, and around, and then you have all of these other brands that people are making on social media and selling them off of that, and it's just a really, really competitive sector. All right, yeah, pull up that super chat there, my brother.
I'll do it.
Okay, hey guys.
Oh, you got
Meta
it?
paying $3K per month. I'm gonna need you to go
Sign on my stolen cheese reels
ASAP. Daddy got bills. All right.
Yo, that's not a bad move by Zuck, man. I mean, he's been complaining that people are not posting organically on there anymore, and that's kind of true. I mean, I post other than stories. On my Instagram account, I'll post like once or twice a year, like a regular organic post that stays on my profile. It's just, it doesn't feel the same. You know why? Because when you're going through your list and it's suggesting to you like 3/4 of the things that you view on your feed are people you don't even follow. You actually have to go into a setting on Instagram and then, click people that you're actually following. Otherwise, it'll show you random other people. I don't think a lot of people know about that. I don't know. I feel
sorry,
like
I was kind of focused. I missed the story. What is
You want me to show you Assassino?
What is Zuck doing? He's paying you to what now?
So Adara had the metrics. Like if you have, I think, over 500,000 users and you post a certain qualified reel, you get this much. If you have 1 million users, you post a...
So the lowest tier is actually like 100K. And then in that case, you get like 1,000 a month. Then if you have over 1 million, you get 3K.
100K?
There you go, yeah.
100,000 followers? You get $1,000
but
a month?
Yeah, you got to post a qualified reel. I don't know exactly what that is. Eh?
They don't specify what a qualified reel is in the story, so I can't give any more details.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, I see the move by Zuck because this has been a persistent problem for a while now where people are not posting organically aside from stories.
Oh.
That's been my understanding. Other social media companies tried this and it never worked, says Ichiro. I'm not surprised. So, Assassino, here's what happens, brother. You go up top. Let me show you here. So there is a handsome gentleman, Jerome Powell. This is my Instagram account. See, Assassino, click Instagram at the top, following and favorites. It'll show you there. Follow it. There we go. Yeah, it's not going to show. Anyway, you click the Instagram logo at the top, you click following, and then you can actually see people you actually follow, and it'll be like the old Instagram where it'll give it to you in chronological order. Huh? Similar to X, it'll give it to you in chronological order rather than the sporadic order, right? So it'll be by time posted. That's the old Instagram for, before suggestions and everything.
Do you think people I mean, you're saying people aren't posting organically. Do you think some people are just kind of getting sick of everybody posting and like with all these filters and showing off like these different lifestyles?
It could be,
right?
I think so.
Right, so it's like you have like such a massive boom where it's extremely popular, and then eventually you have that age group kind of getting older and older, and they start reeling like the reality of life, and they're like, hey man, I'm sick of watching this, some of this fake stuff.
That's what it is.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's all fake. You have the people who are really doing it, but a lot of people
I don't disagree with you at all.
Facade.
I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah.
And we know, Instagram, that's the difference kind of between Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is like so curated and scripted. You got to look the best. You got to see what people post on TikTok. They're like in their jammies. They don't care, right? And it does really quite well. So,
bed, man. I'll hop out of bed.
Well, then TikTok's your move, my guy.
All right, my guy.
All right, guys, I'm involved in VG here. I'm taking substantially smaller size because the trades today are not working. So we're going to risk very little, but I'm involved here for the technicals of it. Look, it had a breach through the 10 EMA, ended up holding. What I didn't like, though, is this candle here at 1220, which ended up being a topping till inverse hammer candle. That displeases me. Let's see. Okay, we just breached the prior bar high. Now into 78s we go. Let's see what VG has to offer over here in terms of a move up. The high of the day on VG at 1394. So we're going to pack the patience to see if we can possibly get into that $14 area on VG. Separately, I wanted to mention IBRX. I'm 0 for 1 on this one. But it just also popped off. That 855 area, 854 seems to have held, popping up now into 865. But when you look at the wider trend, you're still putting in lower highs. And so be careful entering this thinking that it's going to mosey on up into 9 or at least retest that 877 high a day. That would be my look there. I'm patiently waiting for the trade. I have a bias that SWMR is not done. It's putting in lower highs. It's a prolonged lower high kind of setup, but it's also got higher lows. So a bit of a compression pattern, sideways triangle, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking for a decided break of this downtrend, and I want to see that tape teleportation. I need to see the orders coming in. Like, let's just take a quick look at SWMR right now. Like, the tape is moving quite slowly. Look at the left side of the screen where all the yellow is. Not moving quite that fast. I need to see it rocketing, right? Once it starts doing that, the trade is on. The algos are triggering. People are participating both ways on this. It's never a sure thing. Nothing in trading is, but at least it puts the odds on my side. So there's no specific level that I'm looking for on SWMR. What I'm looking for is a clear break of the downtrend. So that's kind of look there. It does seem to be putting in some decent candles here, but I don't want to become myopic and view what I want to view. I want to pack the patience until that quality setup comes in on SWMR, and then we're going to size in. But at the moment, not really. All right, JKL, love this. Please, Lord, above, look for a solid setup on MU. You've got possibilities today, man. They do report after the bell, and they're up, I believe, nicely this morning. Well, they're up 1.5 right now. SanDisk doing a little bit better, up 3.1. Let's look at Micron, and then Adam, I'll get to your comment in a second. I love Adam, man. So look, this is a great looking chart, however you want to square this circle here on Micron. This is the 4-hour on Micron, just to give you an idea of what we've been doing, you know, over the past number of months. All-time highs come in, I believe, this morning. Yeah, we got into all-time highs this morning, the high of which was 476.70. We're showing 468 right now. This is the 4-hour chart. You want to take a setup on the 4-hour. You're looking for a breach of prior bar high, which is 471.25. We're showing 469 thereabouts. Intraday, let's flip to the 5 on this. You're definitely putting in still a bit of a downtrend here. I'd be looking for the breach of prior bar high, or prior area high, excuse me, which would take us above 470. But this is the level on the 4-hour that you're looking for. That's at 471.27. But I would take a shot if we cleared 470, because that would breach prior area high, and that would mean possibly a new trend. Micron up 1.58, not a bad look. James, you don't ever like my posts, Gooner. Like, oh my God. Dude, I look at everything that you send me.
Same, man.
Everything that you send me, Adam. Some of it's hilarious, I'm not gonna lie. It's great. It's just, you know, I know you're you know, shooting for my team to lose. How can you cheer for us, brother? You're a City fan, and now you guys are 9 points behind. You got slapped yesterday. What'd you guys lose? 6-1 on aggregate. What was it? 5-1 on aggregate to Madrid. And you see Vinicius dancing right in front of your fans, man. He started doing the crybaby thing because you guys trolled him last time. Vinny was running rampant all over you guys yesterday. You guys didn't have an answer for Vinicius Jr. Shout out to the man Vinny. But the only reason I shout him out is because my nephew's a big Real Madrid fan. But shout out to Adam James, brother. I know you're a good sport like that, so I don't anticipate you taking it too seriously. Guys, IBRX just broke out. Okay, so it took out the high of the day. The new high of the day now is 77. I was wrong on this one. Let's see if this one ends up flat top breaking. It's only up above the previous high by a penny. I think the previous high was 76. So IBRX back in focus at a critical area of support. But there's my VG, Joey. So I did pack the patience. Here we go. Now we're in at 77. We're going to let the beak at 84. I'm going to let this one run. 1394 high. I have a bias that we either test the high or we mosey on up into 14. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. Bovin. I know, Bovin, you just got here, Bovin, but I've been waiting patiently on SWMR. I don't think it's done quite yet in this sort of little compression pattern that it's putting in, but it is technically now breaching my trend line, which it hadn't done on the day, okay? That trend line there, let me make it a bit thicker so you guys can see that. Line width, let's go full send on that. Why does it change when I've specifically instructed it? Oh, you gotta click OK, Joey. There we go. There we go. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so there's SWMR above, and I'm waiting for this one to set up, but for the moment, I'm gonna steer clear. Hangry Wife, LIDR. Let's take a look at LIDAR. What is that one up to? For whoever was asking me about Micron, Micron's about to take out 470, so you should probably be on the lookout here. If it takes out that 470 area, that would be a breach of prior area high, but I would wait for a decisive break of it, not just a wick or two. Great call out there, Hangry. Good look here on LIDR. It's not really up big on the day. Give me a sec, 7% and change, but that is a good look, good hold of structure, takes out that 190 area, 196, so we're likely gonna see 2. I like that $2 level, but I also see it as a very clear area of resistance. Look at that area low that we had yesterday during regular trading hours before we sold off into the afternoon was $2. So 205, clear area of resistance for me on LIDR, but good call out there by you. Thank you.
Yeah, all right, guys. This 120.80 level just acting like an absolute
oh
brick
my
wall
God.
right
Sorry,
now.
Joey, I got to interrupt. Sorry, brother. SWMR just halted down. So this is the break of trend now. This could be trouble here on SWMR. It just absolutely dropped. 60.75 current bar high, halted down 53.28. Halt time 12:32:44. Earliest will be open 12:37:44.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all good, man. I could just sit here in silence and just micromanage my position there. But no,
That was ugly, bro.
That was ugly. There goes Bitcoin. There's a multiple basing patterns here, but if we can break this 84 level, like you can see, and then whoever this individual is needs to have a talking to. Let's break through it. There we go. Boom. Printing 90s right there. We're in 120.64s, and we have that resistance zone at 121. We want to see that volume really start to pick up here in USO, but we are at that top end of the range. I'm not willing to take, and there it goes, Sharif.
Get it, Joey.
Let's party a little bit here and take some off as we punch through that zone. Nice little move there. There's the attempt on USO, exactly, Gore, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do eventually come back into where we entered. I should have took more than 33% off, considering we did hold it to 40s, and I did, where we get it off at 92s. So 20 cents in either direction. So essentially a 1-to-1 right there, and we took 33% off. We do want to hold some for the break of 121. Which we're going to need the market. Yeah, so the market did take an additional leg lower. Gore, this is positive for our USO thesis here, especially after multiple indecision prints around the lows, and you have that aggressive selling, and then now we're getting that rebound boom and another pop. Tape, potentially we have some orders, a nice ladder building up here at 121.07. So if we go and hit those orders, then I think we have the ability to maybe climb back in towards the volume weighted average price. I was thinking about re-engaging here on IBIT, but I don't see anything that is really saying, hey, we got to take this, because this was a shelf that's starting to be forming. You have that support level, but now it's starting to be breached and head a little bit lower. So you might have that turtle shell type price action here as we're slowly curling over and heading towards this indecision print low. If anything prints on the 5-minute time frame along this line here, and you have some volume spikes, you have those indecision candles, then I think it might be a green light to take another attempt on it. So let's go. Punch through that. You can break through this resistance zone. I believe you. There goes 121, Gore. We're starting to see that print on the ask, but we want anything a little bit above that now. So hitting that profit target for sure as Bitcoin continues to slide, and the overall market, SPY and the Nasdaq heading towards the LOD. Let's take another little bit off here just in case. Actually, no, what we're going to do is we're going to post up, all right? We're going to post up at 121.07s. Why? Because I like 007. And we're going to take 30% off right there from what we currently have. So let's see if we're fortunate enough to get that mark. I do believe that we're going to be able to. So we'll head back over, guys. SoFi curling over. You have that support level at 1763 starting to be breached, and it is continuing its slide. So not too good of a look here in the overall market. Oh, we're only pennies away, guys, from catching that fill. Now let's see what everyone else is up to. MU Killzone says TBK. What's up, TBK? Let's take a look at MU. This thing has been monstrous and putting in that all-time high. Price target today increased from $330 to $510, and we're only about 40 points away from that specific level, so not too bad of a law. 5 times MSTR puts overnight. Happy Fed Day. Okay, Luke. People don't forget, man. You have those. Oh, okay. You're bearish on that. Sorry, I was thinking you're going a little bit long. So, Leanne, I want to pull this up here because you didn't tell me your expiration cycle on NVDA. I think you were saying May or something along those lines. You were telling me, but we just got to be cautious, right? Like we're going to go through this live, considering you have options data. I think it's really important to note is that look at this supply, and we're struggling here today at that level, right? 185, we couldn't even really fall into that neck of the woods. So a massive supply zone. They can go under the water, but I think by the end of this week, we're not gonna head into that neck of the woods. Some indecision prints being displayed here on the Nasdaq, guys. We could like this for a potential bottom. Nice rebound in IBIT as well, too. We're waiting for that fill. We were pennies away. What did we run into? 121.04s as that high. Now starting to pull back as the market is finding somewhat of a bottom. Maybe you're going to get that bounce back into VWAP, or this could be somewhat of a cover rally. I know it's a little bit more difficult to get the shorts working for you in the Nasdaq, but
SWMR is open.
Let's go USO. What do you got?
All right, guys, SWMR is open. There's a buyer at 53, at least for now, showing 53.50 on the level 1. Let's see. The tap was showing me 52. Okay, it's losing the bid quite aggressively here. Okay, so this looks like it might be done. Now, let's see if it holds up at 50. 50 is basically the volume weighted average price. So the overlap here between the whole dollar level at 50 and VWAP is certainly not lost on me. I'm not going to be buying down there willy-nilly with an order, but it's broken trend. Okay, it's broken trend quite aggressively because there was also an uptrend line that was, basically support, and it's lost it and then some. In fact, that trend line is showing like 58 bucks, 57 bucks for now. Let's see if this candle's turning green here. 54.70. Looks like we're bouncing back up. Limit up is 58.61. I just saw that show up on the time and sales. Sorry, on the level 2, 58.61, I believe. SWMR. Be on the lookout here. Yep, 56 2/3 coming in. 54, pardon me, and 2/3 coming in. Yeah, 58.61 limit up. We'll see if it makes it up there. But yeah, this one changes my calculus entirely. On SWMR, I was looking for a breach in the opposite direction. And like this candle here, I was looking for it to be green and up, not red and down. In any event, didn't take it. We had the initial trade on it, which was good, and then we haven't traded it since. Guys, keeping an eye here on VG as this one looks to continue to step up. Wow. A couple of topping tail candles. You want to cover something?
Yeah, something just stepped into USO there. That was a crazy volatility spike. We're probably going to get something momentarily here from Adara, but that was a big time. An additional move. The volatility is in a strong move lower. It wicks that 120.34 level and then spikes right back up immediately. We got to keep our eyes on the tape and be prepared to get out of this one if it doesn't want to work for us. But that was another additional move here. So, all right, so we're going to head over to Adara, another move in USO. Be cautious with this one, guys. It's headline sensitive.
And you can never know for sure if this is the headline, but this headline did just come out and it is related, so I'm going to mention it. CBS reporting that President Trump has not yet made up its mind with regards to sending Americans into Iran to seize nuclear materials. So again, CBS reporting that President Trump has not yet decided whether or not he would like to send Americans into Iran to seize nuclear material. Also, Saudi Arabia providing an update with regards to some explosions heard in Riyadh. They said now that danger has passed. "Quote unquote." Back to you.
You send ground troops in, it's going to get much uglier.
I don't think it's the right thing to do, man. I'm not a military planner.
No.
Just speaking from an optics perspective, I think people, they don't want to see another Afghanistan or another Iraq. I'm pretty sure
as soon as you have
most people feel that way.
As soon as you have boots on the ground, the conflict is going to last significantly longer than what you're anticipating. I don't think it's an in and out.
Yeah, and he was credited for being super swift and efficient with the whole Maduro thing, and you're certainly not seeing that this time around. Who knows what ends up happening?
But I mean, Iran is significantly more sophisticated than what was going the army in Afghanistan, like fighting.
Yeah, but if you believe some of the reports, I mean, the military is kind of non-existent at the moment, if you believe some of the reports. All right, let's turn it back here to VG. We took that print into 88, so good move up, but getting a little bit of a sell here. So live to the resistance, we're getting into the high 80s. I also want to mention a couple of other really good ones that were mentioned by the chat. IBRX, well, that wasn't mentioned by the chat. I had that one. I'm 0 for 2 on this piece of, we tried a couple of times and I didn't get it right, but should have been more alive to that 1175 flat top break, and it's breaking out now into the high of the day of 891. This one's probably on the way to 9. Let's see. Yeah, there's certainly resistance coming around 8 mid-90s. That is the pre-market high from yesterday. Obviously, yesterday we got a little bit higher. We got into about 9 1/3. Looks like the closing prints all were south about 910. I'd say 9 is the real resistance level here, but we'll have to see if we can wick above it. That's really kind of what I'm looking at there. So IBRX looking fantastic here. Midday. So is KOS. Shout out to Cool Brioche. I think he was the one that pointed this out to me. We're a penny off the high. In fact, I think we just got into the high, pardon me. 263 area high. Looks like it held the higher low quite well, and now it is on the way, if it already hasn't, to make another higher high. So KOS should be in focus here as well. A couple of ones that may be setting up off key technical levels. I want to mention NN. NN was a really good higher low, and then it wasn't. Broke down here, lost the 10, lost the trend line, and now it's right around that $19 area. I see it's at $18.85. but VWAP just a little bit higher. This one's awfully spready. You guys saw bounce from 1885 right into 19. Now look, spready or not, if it sets up well at VWAP like it did at 1010 and 1015 on the 5, I'm going to take it, especially if it gives me a clean new bar to make a new high relative to the prior bar. Let's say maybe around 19 and a fifth, 19 and a quarter. It doesn't need to be right around here. So NN looking good, possibly off that VWAP bounce. We'll have to wait. It's turning into an inverse, or I want to say a hammer candle, bottoming tail candle, but it hasn't closed. It has still about another 2 minutes or so. So yeah, in focus should be IBRX, KOS, NN, and then I've got the trend here on VG. I'm waiting for my next profit taker right around the high of the day. I may actually hold this, really depending on what kind of pattern I see here on VG and what kind of volume does step in at around 1 o'clock, whether or not I want to take it before the high of the day or into that $14 area. So that's another look there, guys. So a couple of things moving here after a bit of a quiet period, but sadly it does look, at least for the moment, that SWMR, right now anyway, is past its prime. I want to mention to the newer traders who really kind of, don't trade these gappers or fast movers a lot, SWMR could have a hell of an aftermarket, okay? And that seems to be the case a lot with these names that gap up aggressively and, halt multiple times on the day. Let's take a look at what it did in the aftermarket yesterday. Immediately caught a bid, immediately. So 4 o'clock comes along, we zig and zag, we hold that $30 area, and within like 10 minutes, we're at $42. Come back down, hold VWAP, and then we trend a little more, I want to say organized, a bit more orderly of a trend, and we get into the high of the day right at 755. So this thing closed the aftermarket at literally the high of the day, which was 47.50. 4 a.m. comes along, not as much in the way of participation, but if you're looking for SWMR, maybe, just maybe, the best trade might be aftermarket if it doesn't really break out in the afternoon on the other show. So we'll keep tabs on that. And we shall look at FSLY for Cool Brioche. Let's see what Fastly is doing. All right. Oh, this is the chart on LITE is up 10 3/4, guys. Gave you guys this one a long time ago. Photonics is going to be a big, big name. LITE continuing to have a great day, after pulling back a bit, but not at all-time highs, but close. Look out for that $800 break. Let's look at Fastly. Great call out, brother. Fastly's been looking great here. This is the daily on Fastly, up to $4 billion market cap. Geez Louise, this has been a nice breakout here. Thank you for pointing this one out. I didn't know that this was making that move. Let's look at the weekly here quickly, just before oh, wow, okay, yeah, you're coming from some highs there, Joey. COVID highs that we probably will never see again. But, you're above, you're getting into that area high that we got back into, I want to say January of 24, February of 24. Looks like you're just a little bit above that now, so that's taking out a key level there. And then you're probably looking at some resistance around $40, given that shelf here that we had basically from April of 21 to about November of 21 when we lost it. So FSLY looking real good on the weekly. Intraday, it is exactly what I thought it would be, a clean hold off the 10 EMA. The deeper retracement went into the 20, but most of the pullbacks are clean off that 10. I'd be looking for a move into the $0.50 here, 26.29, Joey, at the highs.
All right, brother. So yeah, I'm glad that we got out of that trade break even as USO took a little bit of a slide there, guys. I'm keeping my eyes on Bitcoin. I think that one's looking the best in my opinion. Just starting to form a nice V-shaped pattern, and we're holding up on this. I'm looking at this as exhaustion volume print, and it's still holding up around that 40.26 mark, yet to have pulled back to the volume weighted average price. We know with yesterday's trade, it was definitely more of a grind, right? You had to sit through this a lot, ebb and flow, and essentially a lot of overlapping candles here all the way to that peak, and then eventually in the post market, you do give the majority of it back. More ideal to be in on this volatility. You get it significantly hot, I shouldn't say significantly, a couple pennies higher, but in a fraction of the time, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 40 minutes opposed to multiple hours sitting through this here. So yeah, we got out of that position near the end of the day, and sure enough, it did slide on the rebounds. We're gonna keep an eye out on the overall market. I think that we're just going to head into chop mode leading into 2 o'clock, right? I think we need to take that into consideration. Don't plan on playing the breakout as soon as
RCAT's breaking out.
As soon as JPM, J-Pow opens his mouth, you're going to see a volatility spike regardless. RCAT, let's see. Yeah, I was looking at this earlier this morning.
It's really going,
yeah,
Joey.
big time going right now. So a massive move and the volume increase. Sharif, you break that $18
John.
mark and $34 is that.
Well, it's my fault. John called it out earlier. I told him I didn't like it. I was wrong. He was right. Simple as that. It went nuts. You were right, John.
I mean, that's a drone play, no? So,
yeah.
So I mean, if you're looking to get involved with that space, then I mean, there it is. I wonder if there's going to be any news with this one. Did you see anything with RCAT?
I just see price spikes, but nothing.
That's all it says?
Adara's looking, but I don't see anything.
Yeah,
VEEE also moving. Thank you, Bovin. Okay, finally, we're starting to get some midday movers here, and they're looking real good. So RCAT is breaking out. This is the chart on RCAT. Absolutely right, John Del Segno. Good for you, brother. 17.5, flat top break. Then all hell broke loose up into 1840, now up 7.5. That's the cat. Keep your eye out on that one. Also, Bovin was mentioning VEEE. That's a former convict. Meaning that it's shown up before on our scanners and one that we know all about, VEEE, the ticker. Nice breakout there, Bovin, on volume, but I always get worried, especially with these topping tail candles that we're going to retrace. There's a lot of volume that came in there, 1.35 million shares on the 12:45-minute candle. 12:45 has 1.481. We haven't closed that. We have another minute. Probably hits 1.5 million shares on that. So great call out by the chat, man. You guys are doing great here, especially on slower days. So we're putting in VEEE on the side. Bovin, I don't know what your move is on this, brother. Enlighten me. Are you giving it to current bar low, for example? Like, are you giving it down into about 39, maybe even 40? Because this candle has a lower high and a lower low. So what's your move? I'd love to get your take on that, Bovin. Let me know. But VEEE on RCAT, guys, be careful. Little extended on RCAT, but NN I think is setting up in the way that I like. So I'm going to execute on that, Joey. Sending it to you.
Yeah, earnings after the bell, I believe. So thanks for pointing that out, Bearded Warrior. We're going to keep our eye on it. That's a nice move. I think at this point, we're going to see a little bit more downside in USO. There's a bunch of buying pressure, and we're starting to form a shelf. So we just got to wait for a volume tick to step in. There's already been multiple volatility spikes in this, so you have to be cautious because this is just wicking a lot of individuals out here and here. We got to break even. We're fortunate about that. And as the market looks like it wants to head towards the low of the day, maybe you'll see a little bit of an uptick there. Right back to our entry price. You want to catch the lower end of the range, but something that I'm really in love with is what Bitcoin is doing. It's holding up. And I mean, at some point throughout the intraday session, I think you get that pop right back into the volume weighted average price. Could be wrong and sellers dominate the session, and then you won't essentially see that move. So moving forward, guys, let's take a look at some more names. Classic says Dutch. Because I mean, hey man, trust me, if you were paying attention to what I was saying last week, yeah, then it happens. Definitely happens. And I mean, March, you know what? Going back in my history, March is definitely one of my better months.
Really?
But yeah, that has not been the case this year. So, I mean, it is what it is. And I'm not going to allow, I try not to anyways, get to me too much.
Good.
Now, as for our, I mean, it does. I'm not going to lie about that. But just facing off. Go to the park, go for a walk. All right, Rich Tech Robotics, IBIT, we've gone over that. ONDS has been hot as of late, guys. A couple strong sessions. Now starting to come back in a little bit here. Not much other than that to say. The crowd strikes 439. We like that. We talk about waiting for those trend lines to be broken, like in NFLX. Gaurav was talking about this not too long ago as it broke through the volume weighted average price. Downtrend snap, and that's when you catch a 25% move in a name like NFLX Adara.
Boeing in focus here, guys. BA, we know yesterday, lots of comments from CFO Jesus Malave at an industry conference that got this stock moving. Well, now we have the FAA saying that effective yesterday, they have cleared Boeing to continue advancing their 7779 vehicle here into the 4th phase of certification testing. That's reported by the Air Current. So again, the Air Current reporting that FAA could be clearing Boeing to advance its long-delayed 7779 into the 4th stage of certification testing. Now, while I have you guys, RCAT earnings after the bell, they're going to be reporting we're expecting $24 million in revenue. No, that is on a typo. And losses of 14 cents per share. Now, news for today, other than the earnings report tonight, I could not find any news. But I thought because we were talking about RCAT, why not mention the earnings?
All right, guys, so just heading back to that inverse correlation between oil, USO here, and the overall market. USO heading towards a key support level, and then you have a slight uptick in the Nasdaq and in the SPY. Help dragging Bitcoin right back up to 4049 IBIT, that is. So a nice look, multiple opportunities to engage, and we have that triple bottom almost essentially, double bottom right there at that 4025 mark, and then now you're off to the races. Key pivot level right at that 4050, but we are well aware of that supply zone over there at 42 bucks.
All right, just throwing in my stop here on VG. I've entered a new trade on NN, but VG looks like it has a triple top at the same area, 87, 87, yeah. So there's a monster seller at 87, sorry, just let me double check that, 87, 87, 87, yeah. All of which rejected. So I'm in at 77, it's into 76 now. Let's see how this one acts. Okay, so below, yeah, 75. Okay, so it's already below my entry. So let's go 1374. We're going to give it to that and none other than that. I had it at 69, but we're going to take that off. We're going to give it to 74 because I don't want to lose trend. Separately, NN got into this one for a hold at VWAP. I'm giving it to the high 80s. I'm looking for a hold here of the volume weighted average price on NN. Maybe a bounce back into 1930, 1940. We shall see. We'll pack the patience. Also, I want to mention IBRX is making a really good move here. Coming back into the breakout level. So remember that 875, pardon me. That was a level that we got into. We triple topped, and then we broke out from that level. There it comes right back in after making another high of day 892, coming into $0.75 and finding support. So that is that's IBRX. Separately, there's a lot going. Holy cow. VEEE. Good trade, Bovin, up into that 44 penny area. Still a little bit off that high of the day, but a good look nonetheless. 46 penny high. If this one breaches prior bar, just opened up a new candle. Prior bar high is 44 and a quarter. If it breaches that, we could be testing 46 and then maybe on the way to 50 pennies. That's the one look there. RCAT continues to go. It has a higher low on this prior bar. Now, it wasn't quite able to breach the 1839 high on that 1250 candle. However, it did hold the prior bar low. So prior bar low on the 1250 candle is 1809. This current low, 1820. So we're still holding that trend. Let's see if it moseys back on up. I've moved up my stop on VG, and I've given NN a little bit of room here. Now, what I'm trying to decide is whether I want to execute on IBRX at that flat top break at 875. That's my decision there. And then separately, whether VE is going to breach trend, breach prior bar high into 4450. That could be another good one. But the volume significantly dropping off here on VEEE. So prior bar had 1.7 million shares. This one's only got about 250,000. So that does concern me a little bit here. We're going to pause for a second. We got to go back up to the big desk with Adara.
I want to remind you guys, if you guys are trading Disney or if you're invested in Disney, I think either way, worth noting, in a matter of a couple minutes at 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to get the DIS annual shareholder meeting. Now, this is significant because the man on the right, Josh D'Amaro, will be effectively the new CEO of Disney, succeeding Bob Iger as of this meeting. So again, guys, in a couple of minutes, that shareholder meeting will take place at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you are interested in Disney, or if you're trading Disney, invested in Disney, perhaps something to be aware of. Now, these shareholder meetings usually aren't massive unless there's a proxy vote of interest. So for example, Microsoft's meeting in December 2024, when Michael Saylor made the case for Microsoft to invest in Bitcoin, or the Disney meeting in April of 2024, when we had the whole situation with Nelson Peltz and that proxy vote. Because there's no massive proxy vote today that I'm aware of, DIS probably not on watch with this meeting. But again, if you are investing and you want to watch it, it's going to be starting in a couple minutes.
Right. Yeah, guys, just keeping an eye out on the same names. We had that breakup in IBIT now starting to come back in. And the USO hasn't been doing too much. I'm just watching out for the breakdown. We want to draw these lower highs that are starting to be established on the lower time frames. And you can see it on the 5-minute as well, too. So we run into the top end of this channel, and then we start to reject with this support system starting to be established at 121.40, something that we need to keep an eye on. Because if that breaks, then maybe we see some more downside momentum. start to pick up in U.S. oil. I seen one of my boy here saying short oil, short die Showtime VP, VB saying, yo, go down oil, but SoFi is the one that's going down right now, giving back the majority of its move from earlier this morning. You break through that neckline at 1760, and then now you're trading at 1740. Going to keep an eye out on that one. Also, if this resistance zone holds up on IBIT, maybe we'll get an opportunity to go long. Oh, it is that time. All right, then.
There we go.
So we have one of our favorite guests.
Hey.
Oh, he's ready. He's already locked and loaded.
He's always ready, bro.
All right.
Hey there, guys. Nice
Luis.
to hear. I'm one of your favorite.
That goes without saying. You're a small cap trader, Luis. Come on now. You wanna start?
Fire it up, man.
Okay,
I know
all
you've
right.
got a lot of questions.
I don't want to, because you were speaking. I don't want to take your thunder.
I could start some things.
Sure.
Weather.
I got a lot of
Right? How we typically go.
Well, we gotta kind of keep up the tradition here, Luis. Enlighten us about the beautiful weather of Barcelona, because I can promise you, we don't have any good news this time on our side.
It is not that good weather anymore. I think we are getting tied to your weather. Something like 15 or something like that.
Well, I'll take 15 any day, man. I think it is -2 outside, Luis. And I know you guys don't have a problem with wind chill, but we have a big problem with wind chill. It's -2, but then it feels like -10 because of the wind. Luis, let's talk a little trading today, brother. Take us through with what you were looking at, what you traded today. Let's go through that.
It has been very, very quiet day, actually, so we don't have a lot to do. I think most of the people are waiting for a Fed decision. Rates, of course, small caps usually are very active, but these days are a little bit slower. We have something pre-market like OVID, this OVID trade. We shorted here against this resistance, which it was previous resistance. You can go 1 hour and you will see probably maybe more. Hours. There you go. You have this gap fill, okay, pre-market with a huge candle, and then all the way down. This was, I think, was phase one. Let me check. This was earnings and phase one news, so not that strong news. It was not a phase two or phase three. That we are more long bias if we are trading a phase three in the pharma environment. This was phase one, so we short against this resistance, and look, it was all the way down pre-market already, pretty fast, up and down. It's something it's been happening for the last 2 or 3 days. All the pre-market movers are up and down pretty fast. We took that short there. I took a small long here trying to reclaim the VWAP, didn't work, has to stop out, and then we shorted in this VWAP, probably end of day trade now.
Excellent look there, Luis. Very interesting. I have to echo your sentiment. I felt that, in the pre-market, we were seeing those aggressive moves up, but they were really not sustained. And you kind of felt that the downward pressure was coming immediate. You don't look at the aftermarket at all? I know it's kind of late for you guys there in the aftermarket, right?
No, we don't look the aftermarket. Actually, since we trade with real trading, we have to close position like 15 minutes after the bell. So, and it's not that, when you trade pre-market, if something goes wrong or if you are in a good trade, you can hold it, because it's going to open later. So you got reference from pre-market highs or open or whatever. When you trade in aftermarket, you're going to hold it overnight? I'm not going to hold it overnight. I want to sleep quiet.
I completely agree with that. All right, Luis, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the big mover of yesterday and a good mover today, SWMR. Let me tell you what I was thinking about this one. So I had a good trade on this one through the break of 55 into 60. It ended up going to 65, but then it started putting in lower highs. I saw a bit of a compression pattern, Luis. I was feeling maybe we were putting in lower highs and we would resolve to the upside. So I was waiting for a break of this downtrend line. Exactly the opposite happened, Luis. We ended up getting a break down instead of up. Is this one that you would have been looking to go short if it had lost the volume weighted average price in that $50 area where it clearly had resistance or support, I should say, in the pre-market?
I longed this one yesterday and today. Why? It's an IPO. is a very small IPO opening above the offering price and with a very strong underwriter holding the prices. So I was long yesterday in a couple of long washout, and I was long today. The good trade today was here. I missed it in these 40 holds, and the B was reclaimed here. I missed it. You can trade breakout here, 44, 45. I never trade breakouts. I think it's a very, very difficult strategy in regarding the risk reward, the speed of the executions and the winning ratios. For me, it's not that one of the most profitable strategies. So I just waited my chance again for after Halted. I tried here. I didn't get filled for a penny, and then I took it after this halt and after this. We call this long washout. After a halt, if the momentum is very strong and we have an up halt band, usually, or let's say statistically, it opens, we see some selling and then recall the previous high. So that's why we went long here as we try to go long here. So.
Hey, Luis, what's going on? I hope everything is good. I hope you had a fantastic session. I want to touch a little bit here on the meeting coming up this afternoon and how exactly you would kind of navigate the volatility spikes. So if the market is essentially pricing in no rate cut, how is that? Because we know in the small cap land, rate cuts, lower interest rates is typically better for the Russell and some of the small cap names. Now, with the volatility spikes, what are some of your risk parameters and your rules based off of the volatility, just in case, you have that spike and then you're like, hey, do we wait? Are we patient? What is exactly you're looking for during and after the FOMC meeting?
Well, first of all, there is a couple of situations where we don't trade the small, let's say we trade blue chips only, not the small caps. One is when we have big earnings on the big names with a lot of volume and a lot of volatility. And the second time is when the Fed decisions. We stop trading small caps in order to look index and blue chips, right? Regarding the risk parameters, first of all, I would say no limit orders waiting at any prices because there is an unknown volatility. It could go up 0.50% or 1% or 2%, we don't know. So no limit orders waiting in the level 2, waiting to get filled. So you wait until the first movements, and then you can measure a little bit the volatility, and you decide if you want to play 10 shares or 100 shares or 500 shares, depending on the volatility. But you cannot set up previews of the decisions of the Fed decisions. You cannot set up a size that you're going to trade or levels because it's a known scenario.
Yeah, so with that being said, do you find that in some of the small cap names that you're trading, do you think that they have an equal or lesser reaction to some of the blue chip names?
Less reaction. They don't really care about the Fed decision. We're talking most of the times when we're trading here, we're talking about pharma or biotech companies which have very important news, much more than rate decisions or macroeconomic situation or geopolitical situations. We're talking about one phase 3 of the unique drug they are investigating. So it's a huge impact in the price of the stock.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Lisa, I wanted to ask you something about float. So one of the things that really I looked for, especially for upside movements, is smaller floats because it tends to limit liquidity and you have those more parabolic moves. Do you look for the same thing when you're looking to go short, or do you try to stay away from ones that have smaller floats?
Yes, we are more cautious with the lower flow, with the nano flow. Let's say, we had today ARTL is a nano float. It's below 1 million shares float because of the reverse split a few days ago. So when we short the stocks, if it's low float or high institutional ownership, we are more cautious on the short side. We never front side something with low float. We wait for the backside. If it's a medium float or a high float, a little bit bigger float, always talking about the small caps, sometimes we do front side if the levels are okay. But low float, more parabolic, more risk, and everything on the short side.
Okay, yeah, so you tend to stay away from those. Okay, all right. Fantastic stuff, Luis. Really good trade, by the way, on SWMR. Hope you have a fantastic week and enjoy the beautiful weather in Barcelona, Spain. Thanks for coming on, Luis.
Thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you. I think it's next time. I think I'm gonna ask him what the taxes are like over there in Barcelona.
I think it's like, I don't know, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but it was either Portugal or Spain. They had like an incentive to come in. Yeah. And so you got like income tax for like a few years off, something like that.
Couple rebates here and there.
Couple of rebates, right?
Yeah,
Who could complain about that? I know Italy had that. Katina, man, didn't Italy have that? Yeah, Italy did have that. It's like you could 5 years or something like that. You didn't get charged income tax. Portugal. Yeah, do you want to ask him? He's still here.
What's the tax like there? What's the income tax like over in Barcelona?
I think he's Assassino setting it up. Yeah, because I can see Luis there. All right, go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, well, there it is. He heard the question already. What is it like paying taxes over there in Spain?
It's a tricky question. Nobody wants to talk about taxes, right? So it's depending. When you trade for a prop firm, because we trade the firm capital, we pay over income that you receive from the prop firm, right? Okay. So in Spain, it depends on your year income. Yeah. Of course, you can deduct the costs, of course, of trading, renting office or whatever. So depending on your year profit, you pay between 15%, 12% to 47%, which is the higher tier. If you make over, I think it's something like 60 or 70,000 a year, you end up paying 45%. Of course, it's tires, right? So you don't pay 45 over everything, but you pay 12% over the first 5,000, 15%, like bandwidth or something like that. And if you are trading your own capital, because this is not it's I don't know how it's called, like
capital gains tax.
Capital gains, sorry, it's like between 21 to 23% of your income. But the problem here is when you pay taxes over capital gains, let's say you got nothing in return. When you're paying taxes because of your ledger, then you have social security, insurance, health insurance, free schools, and everything. We are like socialists or more left party now governing in Spain.
And I wouldn't want to upset the tax man in Spain, because I know what they did to Messi. I know you remember that, right? And he had to go through that for many different years. He had to fight and he was going to go to jail. He was pretty close to going to jail. So don't upset the Spanish tax man. Is the lesson there?
Never upset them. But look, I am very progressive on mind progressive in this. If you make millions a year, let's pay for the ones who really need it and make few grand a year.
Fair enough, Luis.
Fair enough, brother. Thank you very much.
So it's pretty much close to us. About same thing. 23.5, 20 to 25% for capital gains. That's pretty much jives with us here. I think he said the highest marginal rate there was like 46, which is it's higher here.
It's pretty high.
It's 53%, the highest marginal rate. If you make, I think, above 220 a year, you're paying, again, you're not paying 53% of your income. It's that bracket that you're paying 53% of. It's what do they call that? Gradated system, or I forget the name that they call it. A graduated system, something like that. Anyway, it's eluding me at the moment, but pretty close.
Shut up, taxes.
Marginal tax. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
That's what the
progressive.
Katina man, you start your taxes yet over there, bro?
We always see when the Katina man starts his taxes, because he always does it over here, right?
Yeah, are you getting somebody to do it this year or what?
They started accepting them February 20.
They only started accepting them February 23rd.
This is the what's our
VG, you little.
What's the CRA right? This is the CRA right now. As people are filing their taxes, just everywhere
Your boy Carney, though, he's going to come down pretty hard on it, because they're hurting right now for money. So apparently,
they're going to come down really hard on it. But it was too much money. It was too much work for them to get all that money back from all the handouts that they were giving during COVID.
Well, that's a different prime minister. He doesn't have anything to do with him anymore. His hands are clean now, Joey.
Carney's pulling a Trump. It's all Biden's fault.
Yeah.
It's all fault.
He doesn't say it that way, but that's kind of the implication.
What a laughable.
Tell me how you really feel, Joey.
I will.
You are. Guys, there goes VG. Oh, no. 13.95. There's the breakout. We're on our way to 14. That's the high of the day. Breaches the prior high by like a penny or something like that. So VG on the way up. Good look here. Above in your VEEE still defending generally that 40 penny area. But I want to say it's still putting in some lower highs. So something to be on the lookout for there. That's VEEE. SWMR. I saw Case getting all excited there in the chat that this one was coming up for air. It was Case, but then it comes up into that 58 flat bottom that we were holding initially, and then it kind of rejects now. That's what I want to see. Can we mosey on up past 58, on our way to 60, kind of take out the trend there, and then maybe make another attempt at the high of the day of 65. You saw Luis say he took a long on SWMR, and I was very pleased to hear that. So this one's still looking good. Obviously, still very much in a downtrend. That's pretty obvious there. You extend that trend line out, it fits perfectly. What I would say is, though, watch out for that 58 shelf that we were holding after getting up into 65. That 58 shelf gets taken out, and gets taken out decisively. Then you have a good shot of hitting 60, and if 60 gets taken out, I think we're probably on our way to test highs. Whether or not it does that during regular trading hours, your guess as good as mine. RCAT as well coming in to that down, I want to say about 17 and 4/5, give or take, is the area low. But when you look at this a little bit more closely, we're still putting in a bit of a downtrend. We should probably start the news because we only have half an hour to do it today. We're going to be sending you over to the big boys at around 1:45. They're going to be taking you into the FOMC meeting, of course. We get the rate decision at 2, and then Jerome Powell comes on at 2:30, and that's where the more,
Yeah, I'm not even going to take anything until 2:30 after JP speaks.
That's fair.
3 o'clock, right?
That's fair. Get the volatility out of the way, and let's start the news segment. Let me just open up my version of it that I mark up. All right, there's a lot to talk about today, so we'll probably skip some of these. The first and foremost, of course, is yet another, I guess, installment in the Nvidia China saga. Apparently, they've received approval yet again from the Chinese regulator to sell the H200 chips in China. That's the second most powerful in their lineup. Blackwell, of course, being the most powerful. It does open the door for renewed revenue streams from China, which have basically come down to a halt. Zero, according to Jensen. No revenue from China. In fact, when you look at their earnings reports, no revenue realized, whether by AMD or Nvidia now, for 2 straight quarters from the country of China. The approval does follow prior U.S. policy allowing some advanced chips to be exported. We had, gotten word that the H200 as well as the H20, which is now defunct, both got approvals. Then later we got AMD's approval for the MI455 export variant, none of which, though, have been sold in China despite the approvals. Now, that is, of course, in addition to the 25% that both Nvidia and AMD have to pay the U.S. government of their China revenue. Underline that. That's China revenue, not their total revenue. And that would be basically zero at the moment that they've paid to the U.S. taxpayer because they haven't exported any of these chips. CEO Jensen Huang indicated that Nvidia already received purchase orders from many Chinese tech companies, the Tencents, the Baidus, the Babas. They're all gung-ho for this H200. The company's now restarting manufacturing to fulfill this demand, of course, with Taiwan Semiconductor, which does have a limited capacity. We had gotten word earlier that they had about 700,000 of these H200s ready to be exported. We'll look to see what the new purchase order was, because a previous report had indicated that they received 2 million. An order for 2 million combined from Chinese tech companies. They had only about 700,000. So the 1.3 million, obviously, I don't know how much of that Taiwan Semi can actually produce in a short period of time. Last but not least, we also reported to you guys about Nvidia shifting gears a little bit, getting into the ASICs kind of field, the application-specific integrated circuits, to try to take on, the new inference trend that we're getting for agentic AI. And that's what they're reportedly planning to do. They're planning an exportable version of their Grok GPU, which is for ASICs. It's going to be tailored to the Chinese market, Joey. So if they can do all this stuff, I think it'll be good. It's just got to get done.
Yeah, it's got to get done. I mean, a while ago we were talking about this quite often. And I don't know if we're going to fall into that same loophole. It's good to go, it's not good to go. Until they physically receive them, then I'm just going to take it for how it is. China was about 13% of NVDA's total revenue before things were cut off, and you kind of went into this tennis match of if they're going to receive them or not. But, I mean, if we're talking about $1 trillion in backlog, what is this going to mean for NVDA now, especially when they do start shipping them and the Chinese institutions and corporations actually start receiving these chips? You're going to see it north of $1 trillion. Do you add a 13% on the top line of that? Maybe, possibly. I think so. And if considering they've been waiting so long, maybe you have an increase in even more backlog, which I think it can send this stock to the next levels. And I like what Katina Man was saying, is like if the next big thing is going to be NVDA, I think we start right here by shipping these H200s over to China.
All right, sounds good. Let's talk a little Tesla expanding their energy push with a $4.3 billion deal with LG. This was not their deal. In fact, it was GM's deal, but they backed out. So Tesla stepped in and signed that $4.3 billion deal for battery cells. Cells will be produced in Lansing, Michigan, at a facility previously tied to that LG GM joint venture, which is now dissolved. General Motors exited the project, allowing LG to fully control and repurpose the plant. Tesla's objectives a little differently, though, or different, I should say, than GM's. They continue to expand beyond EVs, as we know, into their fastest growing segment. Yes, that is energy storage. The Megapack and the Powerwall products are designed to store energy for peak demand, which are all of a sudden back in vogue now because of data centers and the power stability that these GPU racks require cannot, rely solely on the power grid. Steps in Tesla and their Megapacks. They have them, I believe, in Memphis or wherever they've got the XAI thing there. They signed a deal locking in supply to support scaling energy deployment. Energy revenue in Tesla's last earnings report, as I mentioned, their fastest growing segment grew 27% year over year, $12.8 billion they brought. That's a 13% of the entire revenue now being generated by the energy segment. The core business, which is autos, obviously saw a 10% decline. Giving you an idea here, they're trying to focus on what's trending. Energy segment to deliver very high growth long-term, according to Tesla management. And, looks like their actions, jiving, or their words jiving with their actions here with this deal with LG. Last but not least, Joey, LG will build dedicated production lines for these LFP batteries, which are lithium iron phosphate cells. They're optimized for storage systems, and LFP batteries are cheaper and longer lasting.
Yeah, I'm just reading up on this a little bit too, Sharif, and I found it interesting. LG essentially had a deal with GM before they pulled the chute on their EV. Now signing this big-time deal with Tesla. I think that's pretty good for them, considering the Korean-based manufacturer is definitely going to start making bigger or doing whatever they need to do. Energy storage segment in Tesla continuously growing, and one of the stronger performing ones, considering the EV decline across the globe.
Absolutely right, Joey. And I want to mention that the GM backed out of this deal because they shifted their focus from BEVs, battery energy vehicles, to now these long-range or extended EVs, EREVs, which is essentially like the Li Auto model, where they put in a gas engine to charge the batteries, but not to propel the car. Get about 1,300, 1,400 kilometers of range on some of these, so you can kind of get why it would be interesting for GM to do that, because, well, the BEVs don't have much of a demand here, at least for the moment in North America. This is an interesting story. Microsoft is weighing legal action against the OpenAI Amazon deal for AWS. So Microsoft is considering legal action against the Amazon OpenAI deal over that $50 billion agreement between OpenAI and Amazon, AWS specifically. The dispute centers on whether the deal violates the exclusivity clause that Microsoft has with OpenAI for cloud. Microsoft signaled a willingness to pursue litigation if the contractual terms are breached. More on this in a second. Microsoft's agreement requires OpenAI models to be delivered via Azure and exclusively through Azure. While AWS, they're offering now OpenAI's new Frontier platform that could challenge Microsoft's exclusivity. The outcome hinges on, yes, the interpretation of the contractual terms around cloud distribution rights. AWS is deepening their partnership with OpenAI, as we know, through that multi-billion-dollar investment, and they maintain that Amazon deal, OpenAI does maintain that the Amazon deal is absolutely compliant with the existing Microsoft contractual terms. I guess, you know, they're not going to say, hey, we're in breach of contract. So according to them, Joey, they're still in compliance. Discussions are ongoing, apparently, between all three parties to try and resolve this without litigation. But something tells me this might go. I got to tell you, I'm trusting Altman less and less the more I learn about this guy.
Same.
Look, I don't typically agree with Jason Calacanis on many or anything, but one thing that I think Calacanis was spot on about was don't trust this guy.
Really, eh?
Yeah, and he was quite specific.
Did he say why? Yeah, okay, so tell me.
Well, I'll tell you why. So he was he's been around for a while, Altman. He's not new, right?
No.
Apparently, his modus operandi was that he'd give you something for free, like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Study the hell of how you're using it as a business, and then come in, disrupt you, undercut you, and go into your space.
Okay.
So that's kind of been Altman's MO.
Well, we know that Elon doesn't like him because
Elon hates him.
right? Because he's supposed to start open source. He wants to close it and start turning a profit from it. One thing I'll point out why I'm starting to trust. It's not like I had any form of rapport with this guy. Anyways, I just don't like the funding rounds and how he has multiple partnerships with. I get it. You want to diversify, but the way he's going about it, I've never experienced an IPO like this where they just go through so many funding rounds. You're with AWS, you're with Azure, and just going around in this weird circle. You're striking deals with NVDA. I just find it really fishy.
Yeah.
Especially with something, it's like, hey, we're thinking about this name at a $1 trillion valuation, but yet we don't know anything like from a fundamental standpoint about it.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I think that he's just trying to go to whoever is going to give him money. Because he's so in need of capital. He's
so in need of it, and I don't, it's hard for me to grasp the fact, I guess because it's still a very new technology, but how are we basing ChatGPT when Google's Gemini, I think, is such a more diverse tool than what ChatGPT essentially has to offer, right? It's just a LLM.
Yeah.
Like, what outside of it is it? It can code, it can do, you can ask questions, you can have conversations, but what outside of a large language model is ChatGPT?
Yeah, they got the agent capacity, and they did get that OpenClaw guy to come work for them. So we're still waiting for their version of OpenClaw, but it's still not out.
We don't have anything outside
and
of that.
their competitors do.
Right.
Perplexity Computer, Claude Cowork, there's others. Let's go on to the next story. Meta expands their push with Manus desktop agent launch, so that kind of builds on what we were talking about with OpenClaw. So Meta Platforms via Manus launch a desktop AI agent application. It was previously cloud only. The agent can now interact with your local files, your apps, your system tools through its My Computer feature. It enables multi-step task execution locally, which is, that major step towards personal AI assistance. The agent can read, it can analyze, edit files, control applications directly on a user's device. It supports advanced workflows like organizing large data sets, coding apps, automating desktop apps. It integrates with your existing services like Gmail Calendar, and it creates a hybrid cloud / local AI ecosystem. And I believe that's how some people are using CloudBot now, or OpenClaw, whatever. It competes directly, this Manus competes directly with OpenClaw because it's an open source local AI agent, which is obviously gaining traction in the market. OpenClaw, given a lot of credit by Jensen, basically calling it the next ChatGPT. Its founder did join OpenAI, as we mentioned, intensifying competition. But unlike the free alternatives, Manus operates on a paid subscription model. So looking to, generate revenue on that. But the Manus deal is not without controversy. We know that Meta acquired Manus for about $2 billion, and they're fully integrating Manus's team into Meta. But the Chinese regulator was none too plussed about this. But Meta says, look, we expect a resolution. We expect it to be fine. Manus, Joey, Meta trying to get their name into that, whole personal AI assistant OpenClaw look.
Yeah, well, they're going to need that because we know what's going on with Mark Zuckerberg and company. He's spending a lot of money, and he's got to find a way to monetize this stuff. So He better hopes this works out, because I don't know. Do you think that llama or avocado is going to fall into the realm of what we've seen here with the metaverse? Like, what if no one's using it? I'm sure there's people there, but is it going to come to the point where it's like, hey, we're spending way more money than we're actually going to potentially make on this stuff? And does he throw something out, like another segment out like that?
Can you imagine if avocado was as big of a bust as llama? Llama 3 was a bust. Llama 4 was a bust. And here comes avocado, and it's delayed, and they're licensing Gemini from Google, which Alphabet.
Yeah,
whatever.
and I mean, like, and Meta's signed some big deals as well too.
Huge.
They plan on making their own in-house chip, but we know from
that's delayed too.
That's delayed, but they're not typically as good as what you have a pioneer like NVDA in the
All right,
space, so.
Let's talk a little SoFi. So this story is obviously from yesterday, but let's get a little bit into it. SoFi really pushing back against the accusations made by Muddy Waters in that short report, and they strongly disagree. They called the report misleading and factually inaccurate. Essentially, amongst other things, it's not the entire scope of the allegations, but amongst other things, Muddy Waters alleges that SoFi's true loan charge-off rate is around 6%. When you looked at the earnings report, though, by SoFi, it was around 2.89, so about double. Right? The short seller claims SoFi may be managing optics by offloading these bad, or what they're calling isolating the risky loans before defaults are recognized. That they wouldn't be the first lender to do that. That's kind of like lender fraud 101, right? To kind of move the bad loans off the books, put them in a shell company so that they're not reflected on your accounting. SoFi stated the report shows a fundamental misunderstanding of its accounting and how it operates its business model, and it, instead of responding to the allegations, it emphasized that they comply with U.S. GAAP standards and the SEC disclosure rules. And they also wanted to point out they're a bank and they have the bank charter. And as a result, they're now subject to the Federal Reserve rules as well as the OCC rules. So instead of, responding factually to the allegations, they're pointing out we're already regulated by very, very, I don't know, what am I trying to say here? High standards by these regulators. They also pointed out that Muddy Waters disclosed that they are short SoFi, which is implying that they have a financial incentive to make the accusations that they made, and legal action signals SoFi is willing to defend aggressively, which may stabilize sentiment. I don't think anything has been filed as of yet, but an interesting look here against, but Muddy Waters, they do what they do.
Apparently they're undefeated, Sharif. That's what Muddy Waters issued a report on when they issued the report on Tuesday. Do you think it's a panic move by Noto here, buying some shares, saying like, hey?
Oh, he bought?
Yeah.
It was insider buying today?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
snap.
he bought. Adara was talking about earlier today.
Know.
So he bought 28,900 shares today. So
insider buying is interesting.
Very, very interesting, considering you have that spike. So I look at this two ways. It's either a panic move saying, hey, I have confidence, I want to display that I have confidence.
What's the notional of that?
Well, it's
SoFi.
at 1732, 28,900 times 1732.
2,800 times.
No, 28,900.
Oh, my bad. 28,900 multiplied by 1732.
Yeah.
$50 million.
$50 million.
That's not small. Yeah.
It's not small.
No. Okay.
It's not small. So, I mean, how
does that possible?
But the thing is, though, Muddy Waters is like, hey, we're short.
I think I got that
wrong.
wrong.
I think a question to be asked here is, how long have you been short for? Right? Because the chances are they've been short this name significantly longer.
I don't think that's right.
What?
28,900
times.
Yeah.
It's 500,000. 500,500.
So why
yeah,
did
my mistake.
ChatGPT say?
That was Siri.
Oh,
So
Siri.
it shows you how good Siri is.
Wow.
Yeah, that number didn't seem right. Yeah.
$500,000. Because I thought I heard Adara say that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's funny that they dropped this report, and then sure enough, it's like, okay, you're releasing this statement, but how long have you guys been short for? Like, we have to take into consideration the stock has been down 40% before they even mention this. Right? So it's just like, that stuff is fishy to me because it's like, now you're going to try to trap a bunch of individuals. As Sean said before, it's like, hey, I'm not going to provide the liquidity, and as they slowly start buying shares back and get all the retail space to buy things when you've already been short for the past 3 or 4 months.
All right. Let's go on to the next story. Disney leadership transition. D'Amaro taking the helm. So Walt Disney officially appointed Josh D'Amaro as CEO. He succeeds Big Bobby Iger. His background is in theme park, which makes about 57% of the profits for Disney. So you can tell they're very much relying on theme parks right now for profit, not revenue, but for profit. Investors are focused on his strategy around AI, how he plans to kind of make streaming profitable, and then the content competitiveness as well as they compete with other streamers. Disney faces declining traditional TV business. We've seen that, the cord cutting and the dollars, the advertising dollars moving away from linear television. Now ongoing streaming competition, whether it's the likes of the new tie-up that we're going to see with Paramount and Warner Brothers, or whether it's Netflix or Comcast, who else? And then there's also box office fatigue. Apparently their movies have not been doing as well. Activists had been previously pushing for an ESPN spinoff to kind of unlock value, as there's still a lot of value in sports. But as I mentioned, theme parks remain Disney's core profit engine, driving the majority of the earnings, not revenue, of earnings. And this D'Amaro guy was paired with Dana Walden, who has media expertise, and their aim here is to balance operational, things, and then creative, as well as tie that with creative leadership. Let's pause for a second. Let's go to Adara.
A couple of different stories here, but I'll start with the one that is definitely actually moving a little bit here. That's FOXA. That's Fox Corp. Report here is that Fox and Kalshi are in advanced talks on an expansive deal. So again, just a report as of right now, but Fox and Kalshi reportedly in deal talks. That is FOXA. Furthermore, I have an Amazon catalyst here. Some more talks on this USPS situation. Amazon saying they have submitted a bid to the USPS as part of their new auction concept. They want to continue their partnership, quote, even at a reduced level. They're preparing to meet delivery needs regardless of the USPS auction outcome and lack of long-term certainty. So just, again, Amazon and this USPS story, which is a story we already heard a little bit about, AMZ, and actually saying they have submitted a bid to USPS.
We skipped that story just because, you know, I get it. Amazon doesn't want to rely on them. They want to do it on their own. What's your take here on Disney?
I think it's interesting. Like these theme parks, I listened to some of my friends take their kids in, and I understand now that why it's 57% of the profits. Those things are an absolute rinse job. Let's not beat around the bush on the streaming segment as well too. It's probably going to get more fierce for Disney. It took them a long time for this company to turn a profit in the streaming business altogether. But now you have the Warner Brothers Paramount Skydance allocating Warner Brothers. So that's just another strong move there. And in my opinion, they absolutely destroyed Star Wars. I wish Neil was here. They ruined it.
Really?
Yeah, they ruined Star Wars. They ruined Star Wars. That's
by making all those prequels?
All the like, there's only one good one that Disney made. Rogue One was the only one. The rest, it's corny. It's cheesy.
Really?
Yeah, it's really corny. It's cheesy. It's not like anything fierce. Like, and it's funny. I was thinking about this today. Kylo Ren is the worst villain of all time. Yeah, you have no idea who this guy is, but he's a villain, and then he turns good at some point. Yeah, it's like he's on the fence. Yeah, it's just really bad. They destroyed it. They came out with multiple series. They've ruined it. It's not as good as when Lucasfilms was doing it.
Okay.
Right. So
George Lucas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah.
So, but yeah, other than that, like this stock has been in trouble for quite some time. I don't know what they're gonna do. Are you gonna increase margins? We know Nelson Peltz and Bob Iger. They had that proxy war not too long ago. Nelson sold all of his shares. I heard that was a good thing. No one really likes Nelson Peltz anyways.
He was using somebody else's money too.
Well, yeah. So off with that. I think there's a lot for this name to do, and how much more share can they grab in the streaming world, to be honest?
Yeah, and there seems to be a lot of stiff competition. Thank you very much.
It's getting more difficult, to be honest with you.
Well, there was more money coming into it too, and more competition. That's my understanding. Not like I know anything about streaming, because I don't watch any streaming services.
I mean, Mandalorian sucked, no offense. But someone's saying I'm 100% right on that. 7, 8, 9 is unwatchable. 1 through 3 are obviously the classics. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. They didn't do as good as I would like. And I think that's going to be the same case with Paramount. Yeah. I think Adara agrees with this on me as well. Some of the HBO series, I think they're going to butcher them. But hey, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I am terrified for them to get their hands on my HBO series. And then I think this is like a creator who always, when I grew up, my goal was to like hopefully write or work for HBO. And honestly now, kind of something I'm legit reconsidering because of this Paramount deal. And I don't like it. We're going to have to wait and see. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But Joe and I, we've discussed this on camera, off camera.
Yeah.
It's kind of dicey.
It's very dicey, so
interesting.
We'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
Thank you very much, Augustus Plays, for the $1.99 super chat. Why is MA and Visa getting destroyed? MA, April level. Let's take a look. Not a space that I cover all that much. Is there anything on the blotter today to kind of explain what's going on? Let's have a look. I'm just looking at the blotter over here. What y'all missed. Did you know anything about Mastercard and Visa getting hit lately? I haven't been following this space. Mastercard slashes up to $1.8 billion in bet on blockchain future. Payment companies are preparing for a world where transactions are in digital tokens. That's probably something else. Any take from you as to why Mastercard's been getting and Visa's been getting clipped? I haven't been following this space, but the tech, I think the fintech sector has also been getting clipped lately as well. The 10% talk. Thank you, Katina Mean. Yes, yes, that's right. President Trump wanted to cap credit card rates, and he had has support, I should say, on the other side of the aisle vis-a-vis Elizabeth Warren, who did kind of echo his sentiment there. Fintech, DeFi space for me, all getting clipped. Only a couple of names that are green. It's SoFi and Okta. Everything else is red. Upstart, Hood, C Limited, Domo, Affirm, PayPal, Blocks, Melli, which is that Latin American one, Visa, MasterCard, they're all getting hit. Even Tiger Financial, all getting, that's my understanding. I think that possibly credit card limits or credit card.
So.
Yeah.
Bang, implement that, if anything.
I'm not a big fan of government creating anomalies in business by creating artificial regulations like that, because it changes your business model. Now all of a sudden you. But I think in this case, especially with rising debt levels, and that's something I keep my eye on this side of the border.
Right.
Credit card delinquencies are up month over month, quarter over quarter. Missed payments on your car payments up month over month, quarter over quarter. So it does create.
It's weird because it's a double-edged sword. It's like, hey, people who unfortunately are a little financial illiterate, it hurts them significantly more, right? And it's like, hey, sign up credit card after credit card, and to the point where it's like you're not even paying off the principal, you're just paying interest, which is essentially just going into these entities' pockets at the end of the day.
And it's not a recurring cycle. If you keep paying the minimum payment, you're never going to pay it off.
You never get it. You never get it off. So I can understand just like how you have a cap on that at some point, because if you continuously want people to use your service, essentially, I think at some point there has to be some push and pull and some leniency whatsoever.
Brother, I see what you're saying, Augustus Plays, not for credit. I see what you're saying. Record debt is good for Visa and MasterCard, but not if the repercussions of that are capping your profitability, right? If they do pass something like this in a bipartisan way, in Congress, where I'm not saying it's going to be 10%, but let's just say they come to a meeting of 15 or 15.5, whatever it ends up being, it does cap your possible profitability. So even though debt is good for banks because obviously they receive more in interest income, when the regulator steps in, as I was saying, it causes anomalies. And so I don't think that that would be good for them. That's my take there. Let's move on to the next story. Alibaba raising prices as monetization push accelerates. So Alibaba is raising prices across its AI and cloud portfolio, with increases ranging from 5 to 34%. The key services here are going to include AI computing chips and cloud storage. Cloud storage is going up by 30%. We already know that cloud computing is a high margin business. Take a look at the margins of Amazon and AWS and Google Cloud. You'll get the idea. The move does, though, reflect this next shift from a heavy AI CapEx into revenue monetization for AI after spending that CapEx. The price hikes also follow an internal restructuring aimed at improving the profitability and the operational efficiency of Baba, with the CEO Eddie Wu reiterating his plans to spend up a storm. The storm is going to be about $53 billion in storms into AI infrastructure. Competitors like Baidu, though, they're also raising their pricing, so it's across the board here. They're bumping up, prices up to 30%, showing, there's that industry-wide pricing discipline. AI pricing power suggests, tight supply as well as sustained enterprise demand, especially in China, where we know AI is much loved. Compare that to North America, much maligned, especially if you believe some of the polls. The opinion polls. Alibaba struggled, though, to translate its open source push into AI into commercial advantage. This could be the start of it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is what you want. You want to start to see them turn a profit, considering all the CapEx these companies are putting into. You have Alibaba building data centers in Brazil and across the globe. So it's going to maybe, hopefully, I'm not going to say it's going to increase the demand, but it shows that the demand is there, and that's when you want to see them start turning a profit, and that's going to be more money when you increase prices. But we have a $5 super chat. So let me get this straight. Joe hates pie, Star Wars, and he has no idea that Rush is the greatest Canadian band of all time.
Oh, because you said it was.
Yeah, I tragically hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the case. Selling my Joe shares. No, my friend, we're just reducing costs.
My friend.
So we're shoring up. Yeah, we're just shoring up costs, essentially. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to have higher margin because I'm involved in less things. So that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea.
Get him, Joey. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Optical networking, very much in vogue.
No, I don't. No, sorry to interrupt you.
No
Neil says, Joe, you hate Star Wars? No, Neil, you were gone while I said that Disney ruined Star Wars.
Yeah, he agreed.
100%, yeah, 100%.
You couldn't hear him, but he agreed.
I said I wish you were here because you would agree with me that Disney ruined Star Wars.
All right, let's talk about optical networking. As we've been telling you guys, very, very much in vogue lately. You got LIT, a name that I've been giving you guys for months, up another 9%. Not at all-time highs, but pretty close. So let's talk about this. Multiple networking and semiconductor firms unveiled the next-gen data center solutions at the Optical Fiber Communications Conference, OFC. The key players include Coherent, you got Lumentum, you got Marvell, you got Keysight Technologies, even Broadcom was thrown in there. The focus of the conference was AI-driven demand for faster, higher capacity optical networking infrastructure. Coherent, let's talk about the different announcements from the different companies at this conference. Coherent, for their part, introduced that 4.6T socketed CPO-based silicon photonics, targeting next-gen speeds and data centers. They also showcased a multimodal optical CPU design. Good look. Lumentum, for their part, a 1.6T DR4 OSFP transceiver prototype. Highlighted the next-gen laser solutions designed to improve AI workload speed and efficiency. Marvell also partnered with Lumentum to demonstrate that co-packaged optics and DSP solutions. They also showcased a similar product, and they're emphasizing power, efficiency, and scalability. We've been talking more about this price per token or token per watt metric that the data center people love to talk about now. And then Keysight as well. They achieved first public interoperability test of that 800G Ultra Ethernet in collaboration with Broadcom. Demonstration includes advanced error correction and flow control. I think we can just summarize this to be they're looking for better networking speeds in data centers to make sure all these CPUs, or GPUs, pardon me, are on the same wavelength. The only way to do that is to make sure that the data speeds are fast. Looks like they're looking for optics rather than fiber optics here.
Okay, yeah, but see, like Sharif, I was going to say, I have no idea what introduced the 460
lasers
socket. I don't know what the 16T DR4 OSFP is or anything along those lines. That's way past my my tax bracket.
Fair enough. Let's go on to Boeing. Interesting take today from Boeing. What are they doing on the day? Down 1.5% because they warned that their margins are going to take a near-term hit following their acquisition of Spirit AeroSystems. The commercial division operating margins expected to drop down to -7.5%, down to about 8%. Higher than expected costs are tied to integrating Spirit and driving that downside surprise. We're going to end here, sadly, because it is
USO
time.
is tanking.
USO is tanking.
Yeah, it's move action. It's picking up momentum and volume to the downside there. So USO's taking a little bit of a slide here, guys.
All right, and RCAT just got into the high of the day for anybody who's interested. We're going to send you over the big kahunas, Neil and Sean. They're taking over 15 minutes early because we have the FOMC rate decision at 2, and then at 2:30, Chair Powell gets on the mic, and that's when the wild card becomes. Hope everybody has a great day. See everybody tomorrow.
All right.
Welcome.